Welcome everybody to tonight's production of the AGL. I am Bo3, and joining me tonight is Quax, here to give us the best color that we've ever seen. How you doing tonight, Quax?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to see these two teams who have, quite frankly, very impressive records and really interesting players clash against each other.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the draft to be set up at the moment. We are running through the draft now. Thankfully, it is just set up. Thank you, Zach, for making sure that gets through to the casters on time. We got Seraphine banned away already off the top by SLOB, and Aurelia taken away by Literal Monkey's Gold.
Yeah, for sure. They're putting a lot of emphasis on Meister here, who likes to play a lot of those more explosive mid laners. He has things like the Aurelia, like the Akali in his back pocket. And just now we see SLOB going at Donut with a Silas ban and a Kindred ban, followed by that, putting emphasis on the junglers, because both these teams have really impressive junglers. Juice is incredibly good, and Banana has a very impressive track record, and they both have really similar champ pools with things like the Viego, like the Kindred, and putting a lot of emphasis on those carry junglers.
Yeah, the carry junglers, I think, are going to be the name of the game this time around. We've also got Darius taken off the table by Shining Light OOGA BOOGA. We're going to see what sort of pressure they're going to put up there on that top side, because the Darius made is sort of like a protection ban in my eyes, just saying, like, hey, we're going to pick a champion that, like, might have a more passive laning phase, someone who doesn't want to just get bullied out by the Darius. Literal Monkey's Gold are going to finish our first ban phase by taking away the Udyr, which I would say is like probably just a meta read, just like, hey, 13.4, we've got a new patch coming through. This is our first set of matches. We think Udyr is going to be the strongest, going to take him away.
Yup, and as an Udyr main, I can definitely attest to his strengths. He's definitely one of the best junglers in the game right now. I think banning him away is a wise choice if you are at least meta aware of his power. And right out of the gate, we're going to be seeing the Misfortune followed by the Amumu Kaisa for MKY. And Amumu Kaisa, that's not a super common lane. Usually Kaisa likes to play with more meta-oriented type support. So what do you think about this?
It is something that Literal Monkeys Gold have played before, just actually previously in their last match against Conduit Esports Phoenix. They did pull this out to great success in their bottom lane. I think this Amumu also serves as a pick away from SLOB, that Misfortune Amumu combo, something we haven't seen for a while, but is still that Curse of the Sad Bullet time. Everybody knows that those two ultimates in combination, really, really strong to play together. So you get the Amumu for yourself. It's technically a flex with the jungler. You have that Amumu Kaisa bottom lane that you're comfortable with. You've played before. And now SLOB going to take the Leona to match up with that Misfortune, and they're going to grab the Akali blind for the mid lane. A very big confidence pick from Mikester.
For sure. I was just talking about that. I wonder how they're going to respond. They're going to respond with the Viego. Yes, Brady, you and I we just mentioned how much they want to put emphasis on the carry junglers. Viego is two of these junglers play, both of them, they play Viego, and it's one of their most played champions. And that will end off our first half of the pick phase as a Poppy is banned away, followed by a Jax. Yep, a Jax banned out from SLOB.
Yeah, the Poppy ban is kind of surprising me, but at the same time, I look at the Literal Monkeys draft and I see Amumu, Kaisa, Viego champions with like jump-ins, dashes, just abilities that move you forward that Poppy really likes to stop. So again, a protection ban for them. I'm not 100% certain to say that this Viego is going into the jungle, because this is... Now, hot take, because Little Monkeys Gold, in their series versus PF Chang's, Barry Donut did play that Viego mid. So it's not guaranteed that that's going to be sitting in Jesus Juice's hands. It's another flex pick, and I think this has been the biggest strength for Literal Monkeys with their players that they have, with their style of champions. They have so much flexibility in their drafts because of all of these really off-the-wall, unique champion picks that all these players can play. They have so much versatility with how they can draft.
Yeah, 100%. And so we are going to get the Camille and the Zach bands both banned on those sides respectively. Looking at these team comps, you can definitely tell that they're going for the same style of play, very dive and fight-oriented type picks. And we see the Kayn picked from Literal Monkeys Gold. That might be a Viego mid lane with that pick. Kayn definitely thrives off of this type of team comp. Again, very dive heavy. And if he is going red Kayn, I can see a lot of scrapping going on in the rivers, right? With those Akalis and with those Kayns and just a lot of overall scrapping in that mid game. I can see this being an incredibly bloody game already.
Yeah, speaking of bloody games, we got Jarvan and Fiora as well. Fiora, that blind pick top laner, just for SLOB, and Jarvan, a champion that the SLOB jungler has been playing a lot recently in his solo queue. So not too surprising to see him pull out that one. But yeah, this is a really melee-heavy, short-range team composition with a Misfortune in the back to drop the bullet time, provide that extra bit of AoE damage. And Literal Monkeys Gold are going to lock in the Sejuani, which I think is going to head up towards that top side into the Fiora. So Literal Monkeys is playing the 4 junglers plus 1 Kaisa composition. It's a bit surprising to see, but also just given their drafting history, it shouldn't be a surprise at all.
Yeah, this game is definitely going to come down to how well Verja can play around these players that are picking these champions, right? He has a lot of peel for him, a lot of protection, but you have to look at SLOB's comp here. They have a lot of ability to dive into that backline with that Jarvan Flag and Drag, with that Leona E. Hell, even with the Solar Flare, they could catch out Kaisa immediately if they so wish. So Verja definitely has to play his game really smart here, or it could spell disaster for Literal Monkeys and their first loss.
Yeah, this is a big meatball composition for both sides, I think, is exactly how I want to describe it. Just a lot of ridiculous amounts of dive from both sides. You've got Kaisa with that killer instinct to really do an aggressive follow-up for any sort of dive that Sejuani or Amumu might be able to start. But then for the SLOB side, you also have Akali, like you mentioned, Jarvan, Leona, champions who are really, really quickly going to be able to get on top of a low-nated carry if Verja is out of position at all. So this is good, like you said, a lot on Verja's positioning, a lot of the timing on that ultimate, and whether it's being used defensively or offensively, I think will be really telling for the state of the game.
Yeah, for sure. And then I also think there is a big emphasis on Viego. Viego thrives off of champions that can have a lot of mobility, right? He gets those resets with his passive, and then he gets the R. If he is able to get, chain kill after chain kill after chain kill, then the fight fight is practically over. We all have nightmares about how Viego can just take over a team fight with one reset on that path.
Yeah, it should also be mentioned that this is 13.4. This is the ever so slightly buffed Viego. They got that crit damage on his passive now, as well as the extra 80 scaling on his ultimate ability. So if this is a damage Viego and not just a Divine Sunderer, Force of Nature, Death Stance, pseudo tank just reset buying Viego, if this is a real like damage threat, this could be a huge carry force for Literal Monkeys.
Yeah, but I definitely think because of that, there's going to be a bunch of emphasis on the mid lane. I mean, Viego versus Akali, it's a very vital matchup if you know what you're doing in the jungle, and I expect those supports to also be able to roam up. Amumu and Leona aren't the greatest roamers ever, but I do expect them to go up to that mid lane. I do expect them to roam up to those objectives, and I do expect them to be on the map. Especially Amumu, who probably just wants to let the Kai'Sa farm. If you get this Kai'Sa ahead, if you get her a CS advantage, then this game turns very difficult for the side of SLOB.
Yeah, before we head to a short break while we wait for the spectator delay, I just want to get a quick prediction out of you, just looking at the drafts on both sides here. These are both very obscure and very different styles of drafts that we've been seeing in any sort of professional play. So nameplates off, we're not paying attention to any sort of the like records that these teams have. Who do you think has a better draft here?
I would say I'm actually going to go with Literal Monkeys here. I think their draft is way easier to execute, and I think their champions do a lot more damage, especially if Fiora can't get ahead.
Yeah, I do think the Monkeys draft is really good. I personally have to give it to SLOB. I think the wombo combo potential of that Jarvan Cataclysm, the Leona Solar Flare, with the Misfortune Bullet Time on top of that, if they ever catch Kai'Sa or Viego, or even Kayn if he ends up going for a less tanky build unawares, it's suddenly a 4 versus 5, and even with the ultimates on cooldown, it's a really difficult fight to take because of how their team composition has to play.
Yeah, for sure. And so I guess we're going to go into a short spectator delay here, and then we will see you guys on the other side in the game. Stay tuned.
We are back for our first game of the night of AGL. We've got SLOB, Shining Light OOGA BOOGA versus MKY, the Literal Monkeys Gold.
Yeah, for sure. Exciting drafts from both teams. Both teams are incredibly bloody and fast-paced type teams, and I'm wondering, can SLOB be the first team that actually brings Literal Monkeys to heel and take a game off of them, which is something that they haven't been able to, which is something that most teams haven't been able to do. They're, I believe, 5-1 on their record. Really, really high. They're one of the best teams in the whole league. But SLOB have a really cool draft, so I'm wondering if they'll actually be able to do it.
Yeah, Literal Monkeys Gold have dropped one game in all of their series, and it was just to Conduit Esports Phoenix. It has been a close... It's been close for them a couple of times in their series, but so far pretty comfortable overall for them. And if we're looking at both of these drafts, we're seeing, I would argue that both of these teams pretty much got their comfort, exactly what they were looking for. Just looking at Rune Summoner spells all across the map, I'm not seeing anything too out of the ordinary. I do like the cleanse for Tambourine on that Misfortune. You're playing into Sejuani Amumu, it's kind of a necessity.
I'm going to interrupt you and counter that argument. We have a Glacial Augment on the Jarvan coming from Banana, and
yeah, I just remember that one. That was didn't see that one.
I am very interested to see how they play around this rune setup, because I have actually never seen this before. So I wonder if Banana has some like Korean, Chinese secret dark technology that he has seen on YouTube or Twitch. So I'm wondering what they're going to do to make that a really useful rune choice. As we see both junglers just starting on opposite sides of the map. We see Juice starting on the top side, while starting on his blue side and going up, while we see Banana Soul going from the top side going down. He actually had a Raptor start, Banana Soul here, and he's going straight to his red buff. So I can see a very early gank coming on line for the blue team.
Yeah, he went straight from Wolves to his red buff and is now looking to play a little bit aggressive on that bottom side. We already see the SLOB bottom lane hitting that level 2, getting a bit aggressive in lane, and Jarvan has managed to rotate in here without vision. Flash Flag and Dragon gets the Glacial Augment onto Verja. Pink Penguin, nice bandage toss to make sure that Jarvan is forced to stay away. They're just going to burn the heal and trade it for the flash, but now we've got Jesus Juice in the mid lane. Taking a bit of aggressive trade into Mike, starting to get the stun under the tower. Jesus Juice is going to take another tower shot. I don't think they're going to find the kill, but that is more orbs for Kane, so he's probably fine to do that. And already aggressive early action from both of these junglers.
Fight, 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 fight. We are 3 minutes into this game, and already junglers have gone onto the map, making themselves known, saying, we want to get into this game too. We want to fight. As we see a little bit of trading coming in from mid lane here. Now, I will put an
force to flash away. Mikester having a good time on this Akali into the Diego matchup. Now we got to engage on the bottom side. A nice stun on the They're ignited, taking away, forced to flash away. Tambourine not going to flash to follow, just going to take the win on that one. Take the ignite for the exhaust and the flash out of the Monkeys bottom lane.
Yeah, no stuns on the red side, except for that Amumu flash. We could definitely see a regank coming in from Banana Soul after he takes this crap, but we do see that ward coming down. We could definitely see a dive. Verja is 1 HP.
Yeah, Tambourine is just applying the pressure, just making sure that this wave stays under tower. They want Kai'Sa to miss as much CS and XP as possible. I think Verja is making the right call by staying here, just because you're kind of forced to, at this point, play in your lane, as we got a scrap in the top side. Scrappy flashing forward, looking for that last auto, doesn't manage to find it. Big Caution is going to escape with a sliver of HP, but Jesus, oh, a nice sidestep on the king, but Jesus Juice picks up the first blood with the flash.
We had some fancy footwork coming in there from Vey, but it doesn't save him at all. That is actually humongous for the side of Literal Monkeys. Getting a kill onto that Kane early on, giving him those orbs. The sooner he can get to Rust, the sooner he can just break open this game. He wants SLOB to engage onto him. He wants them to go in onto him so he can just heal off of all 5 of them. He'll probably be building that Gore Drinker along with it, as we see him build that Clawfield's Warhammer. 4 minutes into the game, an 1100 gold item goes over to that Kane.
Yeah, another huge thing for that lane in particular is getting Fiora behind, allowing Sejuani to get to a spot where she has enough armor, has enough HP to be comfortable taking trades into this Fiora. Because like you mentioned before we were on broadcast, if Fiora gets ahead in this lane, it's a disaster for Sejuani. It's so difficult for her to play into this tank shredder that is Fiora. But now with Sejuani having a little bit of a lead, it's going to be a lot harder for Fiora to start the snowball and get it out of hand.
literally everyone on the side of Literal Monkeys has their flash down, and I could definitely see Banana Soul trying to go for a gank here. He should be looking for these picks and for these plays on Jarvan while he still can. These flashes aren't going to be down forever, as we see him going into the bot lane, but it looks like there's a bit of a freeze down there, but there's a bit of an engage here on the top lane.
Scrapple is starting to take the worst half of this trade, though. Is just Caution doing a nice job sidestepping. A really nice outplay from Scrapple there, as Caution threw the parry a little bit too early, just held onto that permafrost, got the stun in, and even with the, I would say the micro outplay, that's still a Fiora favorite trade, which just goes to show how important that early gank was. Getting Sejuani that early armor itemization, really big deal. As we do see Jesus Juice and Pink Penguin in the mid lane here. Banana Soul's here as well, looking for the flag and drag, doesn't the knockup of Meister. The perfect execution. He's looking for the second shot. They're looking to get onto Penguin. They get the stun to a perfect execution. Meister is going to pick up their first kill of the game. Banana Soul still wants to find that engage. The flag and drag doesn't find its target, though, so it is just a 1-for-0 in this mid lane brawl.
Yep, and that should be a free dragon on the side of SLOB as they look. They have mid prio and bot prio. There is nothing stopping them from taking this Hex Tech Soul completely uncontested.
Yeah, we just see Buried Soul trying to apply pressure in this mid lane, but Meister are already having a lead on this Akali. They started with that Darksteel in inventory. They've already got 2 stacks on it, and this is the kind of lead that can really snowball. As Buried Donut, a really nice trade there. As the Conqueror stacks, has that ulti if he wants to look for some kind of lethal, but it is just going to be SLOB taking that dragon. He's going to get exhausted. Really nice patience from Penguin to wait on that cleanse to come out. They're going to force the flash out of the Misfortune as well. So that is 2 summoners for 1. A winning trade finally for Literal Monkeys.
Yeah, for sure. And the gold is completely dead even at 7 minutes here. Both teams sitting at around 10k as Banana Soul looking for that gank. He just can't find it as I believe that was Penguin's ward. Did the little ward trick down there.
Yeah, that's one of the harder ward spots to find. I would call it akin to the Scar ward. It's really easy to mess up, but it's a really important one to know because when you're pushed that far back, if you don't want to walk all the way around that giant wall and have to force yourself over the wall to get the ward in that river, you just get that over the wall as Caution is going to pop the Grand Challenge. A nice parry onto Scrapple's charge. Is going to get that stun down and get Caution out just scot-free.
Yeah, for sure. Fiora is definitely one of those champions as a jungler where it is really difficult to gank. You have to bait out that parry or you're never going to be able to kill her. But we might see
aggressively walking in this 2 versus 1. Thought about thinking is just gonna walk himself over the wall. No, I'm not that confident. As we do see Scrapple, I want to point out, has that Sheen in inventory, and to me, that says that the Sejuani is going to be going for the Iceborne Gauntlet as that first item. And given how AD heavy this SLOB composition is, it's not too shocking.
Yeah, for sure. And I have noticed that Vey and Scrapple have been doing a lot of trading here. That matchup is definitely one of the more interesting ones. As Fiora, you thrive off of extended trades, even with something like the Grasp of the Undying. She still works amazing with Conquer, with those extended trades, as we see a little bit of trading here.
Perfect execution from Meister, used defensively to try and get away, as we've got to trade on the top side as well. Scrapple has the permafrost, a nice dodge out by Meister. Very Donut is going to find the lethal. Scrapple has flash very soon, but it's not going to be in time, I don't think, to find Caution just yet. He's going to be forced to walk away as Caution, with a sliver of HP, is going to escape that bad topside trade.
More fighting in the whole game. It makes this job so much more fun to do. And I was about to say, Sejuani thrives off of those short trades, right? Getting that E active off, proccing it, and then autoing them, and then just running away, right? Queuing out or doing whatever it is you do as Sejuani top, just trying to get a few hits off on them, and then just crawl, or whatever the board does, just crawl away.
Yeah, as it gets further and further away from Fiora, until she approaches that Divine Sunderer, this is going to be such a difficult matchup for her to play into. As we see Scrapple just hard forcing all of this armor. He's got the cloth armor and the Bramble Vest in inventory already. The Chain Vest completed as well. This is a disgusting amount of tank stats combined with that Sejuani passive. It's so difficult for Caution to get a winning trade in this top side.
Yeah, and you'll also notice Scrapple has almost 10 CS up on his laner here. It's 63 to 57. Now, obviously, Vey is... Now that I say that, of course, he's catching up in CS, but it's definitely interesting because a lot of people at face value would say, okay, Fiora does more damage, so therefore she's going to bully this lane. But Scrapple is really holding his own. In fact, he is actually winning the lane in my eyes, as this Fiora doing really good at playing weak side, and being that tank that he needs to be for his team.
Pink Penguin is looking for some action here in the mid lane. Veridona, a nice little dash away, but the Cataclysm finds Veridona's going to get picked up. Monster with the perfect execution again, picking up the kill on his lane opponent. This is now 2-1 Akali, getting those Darksteel stacks back.
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely see that Mikester is going to be the carry that SLOB need to win this game, as we do see a little bit of trading in the top lane.
Oh, Solar Flare's burn. Trying to defend their Pink ward here. Pink Penguin, you don't have a team behind you. Doesn't have the flash just yet. Ignite's gonna burn down. Pick up Pink Penguin, but now Caution trying to escape from this jungle gank at the top side. Has those Fiora dashes. Is gonna be able to escape as Banana Soul is gonna start rotating up, try and save his top laner. Mikester is here as well. If Scrapple gets a little bit over aggressive, the Jarvan W slow is there. The passive pops it away. Banana Soul forces the flash away. Now Mikester trying to flash in, but now it's in a 3 versus 1. Has to trap for himself, trying to walk away, gonna get around the corner, but the heartbreaker from Veridona is gonna pick him up.
Wow, what a severe lapse of judgment coming from the side of SLOB. They thought they could fight that, but SLOB, you don't have any ultimates. You don't have that Cataclysm. You don't have that Fiora Grand Challenge. You don't have anything that can make that fight even somewhat even, as Veridona is now on the floor, and he's on the, what's the word? He's on the board, is what I'm meaning to say. He's on the board in this game, 2-1, matching that Akali, as he has almost 20 CS up on her, and he's getting these plates.
Yeah, that is almost a completed Blade of the Ruined King in his inventory as well. I'm sure once he recalls, he will have that one finish for himself. I mean, the item works really well with Viego. It is kind of like his sword. It's his name. I don't know how he's carrying 2 of them, as it is like a very cool magic sword, but like, I don't question the lore. I just go along with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it right now. Viego carrying 2 gigantic swords. It's definitely a sight to see. I would pay to see it, I'm sure.
Yeah, as the gold really quickly, actually, I just want to see, because there is a completed item down there on the bottom side, which we haven't looked at in a hot second. It is the Essence Reaver first item for Misfortune, and Vergia is just still sitting on these components of the Kraken Slayer. As once again, SLOB is going to have first rotation on this dragon, and they should just be able to pick it up for free.
Yeah, 100%. SLOB fighting back against Literal Monkeys. They're doing way better than I'm sure any of the other teams expected them to. This comp working out really well. Their carry's doing really good, as we see some trading in the mid.
Sure, drops the Ignite, has that second hit of the perfect execution. The Cataclysm to seal Veridona's's fate. Mikester is going to pick up his 3rd kill, get those 2 Darksteel stacks back. It feels like it's been 2-0 all of this game, and with the completed Rocket Belt, this is a dangerous Akali.
Yeah, 100%. Rocket Belt Akali with that Darksteel. If he continues to get these kills, there's not a lot that the side of Literal Monkeys can do to stop him. They do have a decent amount of peel. Again, as I said in Champ Select, SLOB have a ton of access to that backline to shut down those priority targets. If Viego can't get a reset, then he's next to useless. Even with this Blade of the Ruined King, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I do wonder, we were talking about it a bit in the draft, just the fact that the buffs made to Viego recently were really based around his crit build, something like the Immortal Shield Bow plus a Infinity Edge, just trying to like give him more access to that squishier build. But if he's going for the Blade of Ruined King, it makes me think that he's most likely opting for something like the Divine Sunder, or eventually a bit tankier of a build. So the buffs to Viego won't really matter as much in this game if that's the case.
Yeah, and definitely, but I do have to highlight the Black Cleaver on Banana Soul. It definitely comes in handy this game, given that you know that Kane is going on the red side.
You want to be the full time over the top. They're going to donate the kill over to Tambourine, but now they might be getting collapsed on Veridona, and King Penguin is here. The Curse of the Sad Bubble finds too. Jesus Juice is here as well. The team's coming through. Tambourine's across the wall underneath the tower, but I don't think this is the side of the map you want to be on. Both kills are going to go over to Literal Monkeys, as Veridona wants more. Looks for that Heartbreaker reset. Mikester looking to escape, is just going to get a nice juke on 2 over the top of this. Viego Tambourine sadly is forced underneath the enemy inhibitor tower. Doesn't manage to find him. Mikester with some fancy footwork and some nice juice, but Veridona doesn't want to let him get away. Flashes forward with the stun and picks up this Akali.
Monkeys showing why they are one of the top teams. Excellent team fighting coming from them. They fixed what they did recently with that bad team fight in the river. And this Viego just getting kill after kill. And now we finally have that Kane transformation. 15-minute transformation on the dot. 3-0-2 with a Black Cleaver and a Steel Caps completed for Jesus Juice. He is online.
Yeah, it is funny that both of these junglers are practically perfectly matched in these item builds. It is just a matter of the gold difference in this jungle right now, the extra 2 long swords and that control ward for Jesus Juice. But the junglers have changed their meta. No longer is it just always the Chempug chainsword rush on every jungler. Now people are thinking, oh yeah, Black Cleaver's the new overpowered item, so every jungler is gonna rush for that one first.
And I do have to kind of give a bit of a grievance here as a jungler who does play these Black Cleaver type rush champions. I do have to say Black Cleaver turned kind of into Chempug overnight just due to the fact that everyone built it no matter what. In these instances, it's good, but if you have something against like the Seraphine or like the Kane or, you know, a very heavy team that full of healing, it is definitely important to build that chainsword still. It's still a good item.
Yeah, right now just taking a short break as we've got the dragon spawning in a little bit of time. It is a Mountain Soul Rift. We've been so much fighting, we haven't managed to talk about the dragons that have been picked up for both teams. It is the Hextech and the Chemtech for SLOB as they're just fighting over the Scuttle Crab right now. Jesus Juice wants to find access to Temporary, a nice flash away. Pink Phantom might be the sacrifice, but Pink Penguin wants to get in there, but the Cataclysm finds 2. So Banana Soul perfectly playing that Flagon Drag out to make sure that he survives, but now Tambourine left all on his lonesome with Jesus Juice top of him. Very Donut though finds the Heartbreaker under tower, gets that body, the Leona reset. Banana Soul low HP under tower, but gets picked up by the Heartbreaker though. Triumph is not gonna save Barry Donut. He will get the shutdown over to the Jarvan. Now Meister
might not be done.
Beautiful sidestep with the Shuriken Flip is gonna pick up a massive shutdown gold on the Kane, and suddenly Akali, not wanting to be left out of the action, picks up a kill on the end of that fight.
Yeah, this bottom side of the map is just a complete bloodbath. 18 kills in 17 minutes. Both teams evenly matched, despite the fact that SLOB have those 2 Drakes. Monkeys are still ahead in gold.
Yeah, it is. The gold lead has lowered a little bit given the, I would say, the messiness of that fight previous, as Barry Donut is going to try and get into the costume, but now has the grand challenge. A beautiful parry on the Viego stun, gets all 4 of those vitals, but Scrapple is here to save his mid laner, pops the Glacial. But now Timberine is here looking to get aggressive on to this top mid duo. I keep wanting to say mid jungle duo, but there's neither of these champions are junglers. Messes with my brain. But now both supports have roamed up. Pink Penguin and Phantom are here. The teams are looking like they're potentially going to fight over the second Rift Herald, but that 3rd dragon has spawned. It's just waiting down there on the bottom side for whichever team wants to grab it first.
Yeah, and both top laners do have those unleashed teleports. We are unlocked on that now. So if they want to teleport down, if they want to make that a 5v5, they so well can. These top laners have kind of been trading on each other over and over with basically little to no avail of who's actually winning. Both top laners have, you know, they're both strong and they'll both contribute a lot, but Scrapple is doing really good, and I have a feeling that he is going to have to be forced to TP here. He's low on mana and low on health, so he has to get that reset in for this fight, but it might be too late.
Yeah, both champions are trying to get the recess off so they can teleport in, but the fight is going to start in earnest on the bottom side. Pink Penguin gets the curse of the Sad Mummy, but it's just a no follow-up. The bullet time into that Cataclysm does a ton of damage, but Virga gets the killer instinct out, but gets picked up anyway. Meister is picking up all the kills. It's a double kill for the Akali. It's a triple kill for the Akali, as Jesus just trying to make some counterplay happen, but it is just not in time. Neither top laner needed to burn their teleport. It's just a hard-winning fight for SLOB.
Yeah, for sure, and they can honestly turn that into a Herald if they so please. They can roam up. They still have a decent amount of health, and they still have a decent amount of mana. They can totally go for this top Herald if they so choose, and we do see the pings coming out.
Yeah, it looks like they do want to rotate that into the next objective. A nice stun again from Vay Caution. He's got the Divine Surrender now in inventory, which is going to make these trades a lot better, but Scrabble does have the Iceborne Gauntlet, which is making them a little bit harder to burn through. But you can see just the addition of that Divine Surrender in Fior's inventory. Suddenly Scrabble is a lot less tankier, as it looks like SLOB is just going to look to take down this mid lane turret instead.
Yup, and it looks like Banana is opting to clear his bot side. The members of Literal Monkeys have respawned, so I think that Harold is off the table as it is now despawning. Goodbye, Harold.
Yep, by Harold, Baron will be spawning in about 5 seconds as Jesus Juice is going to look up. Scrapple finds the stun to bait caution, has the Glacial Prison, but just wants to wait for that parry to come out. Jesus Juice looking for the knock of the house parry, but there's the Glacial Prison to knock him down. Bait caution does still have that flash, is just waiting on it. Pops the Grand Challenge, flashes away. Jesus Juice is going to take the tower shot, but it's going to be totally fine. Scrapple's on such low HP. I don't know if they really want to go for a dive. Jesus Juice is looking for it, but Banana Soul is here to support his top laner. There's the Glacial Auto Prop. It's so difficult for Jesus Juice to find this meteor. Gets the Auto Trespass on Banana Soul. Is going to be able to heal up a decent amount, but the Flagging Dragon again comes through. The Cataclysm slams down Jesus Juice. Banana Soul is going to pick that one up.
Yeah, and one thing
that's not done just yet. The more time in the mid is going to go a little bit wider. Meister does so much damage. Goodbye, Virgo. Goodbye, Barry Donut. Meister is going to get away from the King Penguin as well. We're going to donate this kill over to Akali. It's another triple for Meister NA.
4 for 0 on the side of SLOB. And something that you definitely have to highlight as they will take this Baron here is the amount of cooldown the amount of cooldowns that Jarvan has in this late game. Just constant flag and drags over and over again creates so much disruption in that fight. And you mix the Cataclysm with that, and it's so impossible to get into that backline if you're Literal Monkeys. It's just so difficult to get through those Jarvan flag and drags, through those Cataclysms, through those Leona Qs. And SLOB are completely dumpstering on MKY in all of these fights now.
Yet Scrapple might have been pushed a little bit too far forward. The Grand Challenge is issued. Vay Caution is looking for the last vital on a Scrapple, but he's positioning really nicely there. It finally goes the lock into the Iron Solari just to make sure that the tower doesn't do too much damage to them as they walk their way out. I saw in the last team fight, you mentioned cooldowns. I think Banana Soul has enough CDR that he can have 2 flags out with enough time in between to just like walk around a bit, have a break. This is a ridiculous amount of cooldown reduction from a Jarvan, so I guess Glacial Augment OP? Sure, we'll give it to him.
Yeah, something like that. It's clearly working as Soul is actually doing really good in this game. The mid-jungle duo, the prowess between those two and the synergy between them is showing a lot in this game as Mike and Soul are doing absolutely amazing. And it's definitely, at this point, it's SLOB's game to win.
Yeah, there gets to a certain point in every League of Legends game where it stops being the losing team's game to win, and it starts being the winning team's game to lose. As we got engaged on the bottom side, as Banana Soul is just trying to for Barry Donut, but this is a play to Rune King Viego, and Banana Soul doesn't have a lot of armor, but the rest of the team has arrived. Banana Soul is going to pick up the last of that one. The assist given to Meister just for his time spent rotating down, and that's a full damage Viego versus a pseudo tank Jarvan. That's not a lot of armor. That's a lot of HP. So you would expect and you would hope that Viego's winning that matchup. But if even he can't like kill Jarvan in a reasonable amount of time in this 1 versus 1, this is looking like a potential disaster for MKY.
Yeah, and SLOB making the most of their Baron, pushing out that mid and bot wave equally. As
sidestep on that Glacial Prison, gets the bullet time down, but the stun comes through. Jeez, just gonna pick up Tambourine now. Gonna look for more, looking to get aggressive on Phantom. Banana Soul is here, potentially looking for some way to save his support, or maybe some kind of re-engage, but I think they're just gonna have to call him away as Meister maybe wants to make it happen. Phantom's gonna go down. Meister looking to get comfortable with his 1 versus 3. The exhaust, because of the sad rally, everything being burned onto Meister, but he's gonna get into his shroud. The Burning Execution finds the Immoral, but he gets picked up there, immediately shut down, goes over to Jesus Juice. Banana Soul is gonna get over the wall, as Scrapple's gonna follow him, as well as Jesus Juice. So much wall traversing between all of these champions. Banana Soul he's over the wall again, but the flash forward for Jesus Juice with the Kane. He was gonna pick up the shutdown again. That's a lot of gold going over to this Kane.
Yep, shutdown after shutdown going over to Literal Monkeys here, and honestly a bit of a lack of judgment coming from what's his name here. If I were him, I would have died quicker so that he can be up in time for that soul, because now he might spawn. He's gonna spawn later. He might not be up for the crucial points where you need to be up to be impactful in this fight for Jarvan.
Yeah, Banana Soul is going to be pretty late to this last dragon spawning. It looks like MKY might just be able to take this one before SLOB can get in position to contest it. Banana Soul just now spawning. Dragging down to 8k. Phantom and Tambourine are over the wall. Tambourine almost has that bullet time. Can maybe look for some kind of miracle steal with the Solar Flare. No, it's a good smite from Jesus. Now they're looking to get in. They're looking to dive. Meister has the perfect execution. He's holding on to when he finds the kill on the Jesus Juice. And now SLOB can take the fight in earnest. Meister is still jumping forward. It's a double kill for the Ecoli. It's a double kill for the Fiora. It's a triple for Meister. It's a clean ace for SLOB.
SLOB get a clean ace, and they're just going to march it down. That'll likely be an inhibitor for SLOB. I don't know if they can end the game here. They do have the power push of that Fiora, but she is on the side lane, not grouped up with her team. She does have that TP. Maybe if they look to end here, she can TP to one of those cannons or whatever minion that these turrets are going to focus. It looks like SLOB might be positioning to end here. We have 9 seconds left on that Viego.
Yeah, the respawn timers are pretty short. It looks like SLOB is just going to try and grab the second inhibitor tower, maybe the second inhibitor if they can find the time, as Phantom's going to take up that tower for the wave. They should be able to grab the second inhibitor, but there's a re-engage. A nice two-man curse of the Sad Mommy from Pink Pone. Meister pops the Zongi as he might look for the last hit on the inhibitor, but no, he goes down. Shut down again. Given over to Jesus Juice. Now Scrapple looking for Banana Soul. Jesus Juice once more, though. He finds the knockup onto Phantom in the backline. The Gore Drinker as well. Banana Soul has found Pink Pone by meantime. Virga is trying to get damage in onto this jar, and it's just not enough. He finally picks up the kill, but now Vay Caution does get picked up in the end. Shutdown goes over to the Sejuani, but I think importantly to note, a lot of kills getting over. Ace for MKY, but not a single kill to Verja. This ADC is desperate for gold.
Yeah, 1 and 4 on the Kai'Sa. We put a lot of emphasis on the fact that Verja needed to be ahead if MKY wanted to win this game, or if they wanted to propel this game ahead into a snowballing state where they could win. Yeah, he's starving. There's 10 kills onto this Kayn, but if I'm being completely honest, it feels like this Kayn is the one that gets caught out a lot, or the one that oversteps his bounds a lot, and frankly, it might be the reason that they lose this next fight.
Yeah, you can just look at the item difference between the two AD carries. Verja has just now finished that second item, having that Navori Quick Blades in inventory. Meanwhile, Tambourine is looking to finish the third, getting that Lord Dominic's Regard. I do think the Misfortune build is interesting, and I want to point it out. The Essence Reaver as that first item rush is not something that I've seen a lot, though I haven't seen a lot of Misfortunes a lot, in all honesty. You just normally expect something more along the lines of, like, you know, you want that Mythic first, maybe like a Rapid Fire, or maybe that Infinity Edge, Navori's, just something along those lines. But the Essence Reaver allowed him to play a little bit more aggressive in lane with that mana, and I really like the pickup from him.
Yeah, maybe Tambourine just knows it's going to be a super bloody game, and he says, win lane, win game, buddy. So we are seeing the Baron spawn now as SLOB are positioning around it. Penguin is here, but he might get caught out.
Oh, maybe a little out of position. The Solar Flare and the Cataclysm get burned, but Cataclysm is jumping over onto Barry Donut. Pink Penguin is going to finally get picked up. Tambourine will grab that last tip, but the exhaust goes down onto him as Jesus Juice is looking for the dive in. A nice bullet time. He's going to find some extra damage, but the Elbow Trespass comes through. Meister is going to pull him over the wall, and it is Kayn, so he should have at least a couple ways to get back over the wall. A nice two-man knockup from that W. The Glacial Prism does find Banana Soul, but not much else, and it is just the one for nothing, as we do have Vay Caution pushing in that side lane. This is the dangerous Fiora split pushing. They're trying to stop the recalls. The teleport comes through from Barry Donut to make sure that he can't end the game, as Meister and Banana Soul are just making sure that the rest of the team cannot come and support this Viego, who's just left on his lonesome to try and defend this tower. Burst Nexus tower is going to go down, but Vay Caution now has to get through the entirety of the MKY team. They're going to try and walk away. Gets the dash out of range of all the CCs, but he's going to be able to walk away. Now Jesus Juice left on his lonesome to try and get into this Baron pit. Vision, he's getting in. He's looking potentially for a Q over the wall. The Baron is stalled at 2k. It's going down to 1. They're going to burst it up. Tambourine gets the last hit. Jesus Juice is going to be forced to fly through the wall. Banana Soul is going to try and follow him. The Soul Flare is going to find the slow, and the Cataclysm slams down Banana Soul, finds Jesus Juice once again.
That is such an important pickup for SLOB, as that Dragon Soul for them is spawning. That will be a Mountain Soul potentially. Now that Jesus Juice just got picked off like that, it is super bad for Literal Monkeys to get picked off, especially that member. They might just get completely ended off of that, because now SLOB, they march their way down to the Dragon Pit. They know they can take it. MKY are a member down.
Yeah, I do also want to point out I was actually wrong with the Misfortune build. It wasn't the Lord Dominic's Regard. It ends up being the Mortal Reminder. I always forget that that item builds out of armor penetration now. A really good buff from Riot. Thank you, Riot Games, for making that item actually buildable for AD carries. But I just got to get used to the newer build path.
Yeah, for sure. And we see the teams posturing around this side of the jungle here, trying to get vision, trying to fight for territory. As we do see Vey does have TP, even though the Drake is up. He is completely ready and waiting. If MKY so choose to brute force their way to this dragon and through this, he can TP down and we might see a team fight. But nope, no team fight allowed. SLOB secure that dragon. So
it's Jesus Juice. He doesn't have a lot of tenacity in his build. He went for those steel caps. Mechanicals and flies. One, the balloon time is a little bit off on its angle. They do pick a pink penguin, but that's just it. Jesus Juice on the backline now, looking to get onto Tambourine. But this is a mountain soul that's so difficult to get the burst damage onto this AD carry. Tambourine picks up a double kill, and now Scrabble is trying to get any damage possible out of the Misfortune. In the meantime, it's just in the enemy base. Absolutely does not care about Ladyface stats. Just says, okay, I'm ending the game. SLOB take game 1.
What a convincing first win from SLOB. Playing those team fights amazingly, playing the map really well. Those rotations were absolutely great. And as soon as they realized their champion's item spike, they went straight for it. No fear whatsoever. They got picks amazing. They played team fights great. Very good win from SLOB starting off this series.
Yeah, I just want to give massive amounts of credit to the mid-jungle duo of SLOB, Banana Soul and Mikester, and a incredible play on this jungle mid duo. This 2v2 were so hugely important for snowballing the rest of SLOB into this win. We are going to take a short break before we head into the draft for game 2, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Woo!
Hopefully we'll be going to a short break and then we'll be right back. This is here. We are back after a very exciting game one between SLOB, Shining Light, OOGA, BOOGA, and MKY, Literal Monkeys Gold. An exciting win for SLOB, taking the second game ever off of Literal Monkeys in this bracket. And they're looking to clean up the series in a clean 2-0 fashion.
Yeah, for sure. And we can already see the bans and the adjustments for both teams flying out here. We can see that Akali and Aurelia banned on the side of SLOB. They do not want him back on that Akali. That was definitely an issue that they encountered that, for lack of a better word, they had to brute force to solve that issue. And then we do see the Silas coming out. There's a lot of emphasis on both teams on this mid lane.
Yeah, it was I believe it is, I think the names on the top are incorrect, as the Monkeys did lose and they did pick up themselves onto the blue side with their side selection. So this is reversed at the moment, as I'm sure it will be fixed by our production master, Zach, in just a second. There we go. As they're going to grab the Kindred for themselves on that first pick.
Yeah, Kindred first pick is definitely one of the more dangerous things to pick. Kindred does have a lot of counters, both in solo queue and in competitive. There are things that can shut down the Kindred, like the Sejuani, like the Vi, just preventing her from getting that Lamb's Respite off. I can definitely see them being picked up on the side of SLOB.
Yeah, but instead, SLOB are just going to go straight towards that Viego again, keep that flex between the mid and the jungle, as they did in game one, and they're going to grab the Varus for themselves in that 80 carry slot. It's not usually what we see as the blind pick, especially not on the red side second pick, but I do like it, as it is just a safe laner that will allow your mid and top side to play however they really want.
Yeah, 100%. And then we can see the Jinx Thresh picked on the side of Literal Monkeys Gold. Jinx Thresh is a really good lane. It's a really good pairing, but it's not exactly very meta privy right now. Varus is definitely a more meta focused champion, and I can definitely see SLOB picking the support last, unless they do some emphasis on, because I think they want to keep that flex pick. But no, we have a Victor hover actually. Katarina.
Yeah.
Ooh,
they're looking for some comfort. They're looking for some comfort again for Mikester, and they're gonna grab the Katarina for him. This is one that has been very successful for him in the past, having some pretty impressive KDAs on this champion overall in the AGL. And just, it worries me just into the Kindred that Lamb's Respite doing a really good job of shutting down Katarina resets, as well as Thresh just in general being really good at stopping Katarina from getting those ultis off, stopping her from getting as easy on the repositions. But we'll have to see how the rest of the draft finishes off, as we do have SLOB taking out the Zac, and Literal Monkeys are going to start shutting down that support pool. They're going to ban away the Blitzcrank.
And I do believe their captain did leave us notes, and we did have a Gragas, I believe, mentioned as the top laner's pick. So we could definitely see a Gragas pick coming out from the side of SLOB. Completely nullifies and counters Kindred, knocks everyone out of her R. Any sort of hope you have to get like a 50-50 after her Lamb's Respite ends is washed away by a single casket.
Yeah, the notes that were provided to us mentioned Gwen, Fiora, and Gragas, and even the potential of a Nidalee. Now, we haven't seen it yet in this series. We did see that Fiora being pretty comfortable for Vey Caution, and it is still available to them if they want to blind pick it here, save that support counter pick, but it looks like they are just going to opt for a potentially engaged champion again on that bottom side. Maybe they'll pick away the Amumu, not really pick away as much as counter pick with the Amumu, choosing to lock that one into the Thresh. So it is Varus Amumu versus Jinx Thresh in the bottom side.
Yep, another aggressive 2v2 bot lane coming from both teams. They want to keep fighting and keep skirmishing. And I mean, now we have both solo laners left for Literal Monkeys. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be picking. And the Galio hover, actually, the Galio lock in, actually a really good response from Monkeys here. Galio just completely nullifies most of those champions that can go AP, and Katarina especially has that long channel for her R that can simply be canceled by actually a lot of Literal Monkeys picks right here. Galio's W, his E, the Thresh Flay, the Thresh Q. A lot of these things can completely shut down Katarina's ability to go with that long R that does so much damage that we all know about.
Yeah, they are going to opt for the Ornn in the top lane as well. This is a very tank-focused team composition for Literal Monkeys, really playing around the Jinx and the Kindred. Whenever I see a Jinx early lock-in in a draft, I always get really scared that the team isn't going to, like, draft around them, give them some proper protection, try and make sure that they're, like, staying safe. We did get the tease of the Gragas hover for a little bit there from
I was so
SLB.
excited! I was like, I predicted it!
But instead, they're going to lock in Poppy. I do like Poppy here. It's a really good job of shutting down Kindred in the early game, just making sure that she's not allowed to play as aggressively with those dancing arrows. It stops Galio's Justice Punch. It can stop Ornn's Searing Charge. It can even stop his ultimate, actually, as it is a miniature dash. If Ornn bonks his head into Poppy's wall, I'm fairly certain that the ulti does not get launched through. I haven't seen that interaction very often, so I would be interested to see if it pops up in this game.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you can definitely see the comfort coming back for both of these teams. The Kindred is definitely one of their junglers most played. And the Ornn, basically, this game is going to come down to, can Kindred get enough marks and can Jinx get enough kills in the early game, get enough of a snowball lead in that early game to help them out? Because if they don't find kills for both those carries, then the game is really hard for Monkeys.
Yeah, SLOB again has a really insane amount of dive with the Amumu, with the Viego, with the Katarina now, as it is going to be Viego sitting in the jungle, the Katarina on that mid lane. There's a lot of dive to get access to this Jinx and to this Kindred, but these are, especially with the champions that are around them, champions that will be notoriously difficult to lock down. Kindred especially, again, with those dancing arrows, with the W lowering the cooldown on them, it's so difficult to lock her down. Poppy hopefully will help with that, but the Jinx with a Thresh and a Galio on top of her is going to be so difficult to kill. And even with the Lamb's Respite, like, you have the Poppy Keeper's Verdict to knock people out of the ultimate, kind of, because it also kind of knocks them to safety. But it is a sort of fight resetting tool. And if you can burn the Kindred ulti early, knock them all away, and suddenly they're fighting the same fight, but with lower health bars, without a Kindred ulti, SLB has a good chance to knock this series out 2-up.
Yeah, 100%. And as we go into the second game here, we're seeing if SLOB can complete the 2-0 upset over Monkeys. And we're going to see if Monkeys can actually bite back, see if their comfort provides some comfort. And we'll see how this next game goes. So we'll see you in a bit.
Don't go anywhere.
Clouds move closer, burnt with the deepest red. Oh, beneath them we look on. When they part comes the hatred they bring. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day. 'Cause only nightmares break their face. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until our last breath. So what is to be left for us? My people look on and say, don't fear what you don't know, 'cause we're far from certain fate. And we'll make our final stand. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day. 'Cause only nightmares break their flames. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until the last fellow armsmen, I ask you, will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me. Never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Oh, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning.
We are back for Literal Monkeys Gold versus SLOB Game 2. SLOB, after a pretty exciting Game 1, took the win and are looking to finish this series out with a clean 2-0.
And you can see both teams posturing toward that bot lane. This is something that a lot of competitive teams do. But Monkeys are predicting that they'll go through the top side there, maybe go through the mid lane. But SLOB are saying, no, we're just going to go through bot lane. We might get a level 1 here, we might get a level 1 5v5.
Give it to me. Come on. SLOB are going to walk through the bottom side. They're sneaking around. It looks like they might put a ward over. No, they're just going to walk all the way through. Phantom is going to get spotted now. It is the 5 versus 5. Oh, it's going to do the flank fights too. It's a huge shape fight start. Both Little Monkeys, they're going to find the first kill. Jake's getting research. She picks up gold on that second kill as well. It's going to be flash force over the wall for Meister as Phantom is going to get picked up here as well. It's 2 kills for the Jakes. Oh my god, the game is over. Pink Pokemon is going to flash forward to fight to play on the Tambourine. He's going to look for a kill in return, but it's a triple kill for the Jakes in the early game. Oh my god.
Well, okay. I guess that works too, as Monkeys find a 2k gold lead right out of the gate. That Jinx comes back with a coal and a long sword in the lane, as both junglers are going to have to start leashless. This is absolutely terrible for Kindred. Starting leashless on Kindred is really bad for your health unless you're really good at kiting the camps, but I think bot lane might just be over after that.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about outside the broadcast, just like, oh man, we're a little bit worried about this Jinx pickup because Monkey showed in game 1 that they're not going to provide a ton of resources down towards the bottom side. Verja really was forced to play on his own, really just forced to be like the solo AD carry on the Kai'Sa. And on Kai'Sa that can work, but with Jinx you really need the team behind you to fully be supporting you. But I mean, getting 3 kills in the early game, everything but the first blood, that's a lot of resources for a Jinx. I think she'll be just fine.
Yeah, and what's even more funny is behind the broadcast, our producer also said we jinxed it, but he didn't say what we jinxed. And I think we jinxed Verja being behind or not the focus to this game, as now he's probably all we're going to be focusing on.
Yeah, Verja should just be the win condition for Monkeys here. Like you mentioned, a 2,000 gold lead at 2.5 minutes in the game is a pretty big one. Jinx getting all of the resource, getting pretty much every last hit except for the one that Ping Penguin picked up. Really important. Oh, nice sidestep from Meister away from that Justice Punch. And yeah, this early game I imagine is going to slow down a little bit as we do have Viego and Kindred, who are much more farming junglers, a little bit less active in the early game. So unless we see some actions in the lane themselves, I'm assuming we're going to be able to take a breather before some more fights start.
Yeah, and as you say that, you might have jinxed it again, as there might be a kill.
Ping Penguin is looking for his way in, as the junglers are going to be skirmishing up there on the top side. 2 versus 2. Ping Penguin is going to get picked up by Phantom. Verja looking for the damage on the Phantom, doesn't have it, but now Timbrine might get picked up. A nice flash away. The Zap gets Mark. Now Jesus Juice looking to get on top of Banana Soul here. Has that passive, has the PTA, red buff, but Banana Soul does have the support of his support. Phantom is going to be close to flash away, as Jesus Juice does as well, and he just flashes and being burned left and right. Everybody's fighting everywhere.
Of course you say there won't be a lot of fighting, as on all fours the teams start going ooga booga, let us fight, as we might honestly see Mike is definitely looking for Donut here in this mid lane, but he's just not going to be able to find him. There's no sums on this Katarina, there's no flash on this Galio, but I want to highlight just how bad that was for Kindred. Not only did she miss the mark to kill the Viego, but she also missed the mark on the craft. She lost the RNG, so Kindred is going to have to take her first reset without a mark, which is definitely not something you want to happen when you are one of 2 carries on your team that are relied on to win this game, as who gets really caught in the minions.
Yeah, we were talking again about on the broadcast. You are a Kindred player, so you have a fairly decent understanding. It's a nice W from Vay Caution. He might be able to find a solo, but it looks like Scrabble should just be able to walk away here. And flash forward. With the slow, are they going to donate the kill? No, Jesus Juice is here to support his top laner. Scrabble looking to walk forward. Vay Caution now, no flash. The red buff is on. Gets the shield prop, but it doesn't manage to find it, as Meister is getting ganked in the mid lane. As Pink Penguin is going to find the hook, just trying to donate the kill over to Barry Donut with all of his might. He does manage to give it over.
That is such a big pickup for the Kindred here. 1-0 and 4. He is getting really close to being able to already buy that Noon Quiver for the 1100 gold. You can see he has 2 longswords and a dagger. He's super close. And as soon as he gets that Noon Quiver, I like to think that that is sort of your mid-game spike is Kindred. Obviously, getting that Mythic, getting that on the board is really big, but as soon as you get the Noon Quiver, clearing becomes so much easier, dueling becomes a lot better, everything becomes way better as Kindred once you get that 1100 gold item, and he's getting it very quickly in this game.
Yeah, just jumping back to that point we were talking about previously, you are a Kindred player, so you have a decent understanding of what she can do in the game and how, like, her item spikes and power levels are going to be represented in terms of, like, what point of the game she's in, how much gold she has. We mentioned off broadcast again, once Kindred hits 4 marks, she's, like, pretty much just a monster, one of the best champions of the game, really difficult to play against. So the denial of that first mark that happened a while ago, I know it doesn't feel like that long ago, but it was a bit ago, if you remember, the denial of the mark on the Viego and the Scuttle Crab is really big to delay that first 4 marks from coming through. There's a nice
my god
grapple. He's looking for the aggression in this top lane. A nice stun from Vay Caution. The grass proc is there. There's the brittle. There's a fight on the bottom side as well. There's no delay on this action. Pink Hogan finds the Jaeger with the whole beautiful hook on the Vanisol. Is going to force the flash away. The exhaust comes down. Jesus Juice wants to find that mark, but with the flash, he's just going to be able to escape. A Scrabble hits level 6. Forest God. Then he calls it. Get by the Scrabble on the follow. Forest God picks that one up in the solo kill top side.
Pretty tanks! They're tanks! Why are they fighting so much? What is going on?
You have to remember, Ornn is not just a tank. He is a tank mage, Death Knight fighter, bruiser, as we got to find in the bottom side. Pink Pokemon is going to find the stun onto Phantom. It's just going to keep him in range of Verja as Jesus Juice is going to solo pick up Tambourine for free, and Verja goes on a rampage.
Another bloody game coming out mostly from Literal Monkeys here. A 9-1 on the kills. 4K gold lead. Yeah, 4K gold lead coming out from MKY already here. 7 minutes into the game, and they're going to transition that bot lane double kill into a dragon here. Another first Hex Tech dragon. I'm wondering, are we going to see a similar sort of setup from these drakes? If we do see another Mountain Soul, that could actually be really big for the side of MKY. Ornn with Mountain is the scariest thing ever, but that is a Cloud Soul spawning next. So we have the possibility of an Infernal, a Chemtech, and a Mountain for these teams.
Yeah, we have Infernal, Chemtech, Mountain, and Ocean. We do have 6 dragons now. I think
yeah, right.
Chemtech dragon as Banana Soul. It's going to look for a bit of aggression in the mid lane, just uses that XP to pick up to level 6. Yeah, if you're in the chat right now and you're like trying to get your friends to watch this league, you're like, oh man, I swear, like, I know it's the gold league, but like, it's really entertaining, it's really fun. Just show them like this series. Just show them the fact that we had 10 kills at 7 minutes with a 5v5 at level 1. Anybody who's anybody should be watching this league right now.
It's not League of Legends, it's Call of Duty Zombies over here in this league. And wow, it is a very entertaining set of games so far. As we do see the teams just sort of backing off a little bit. We see a little bit of trading coming in from the lane, but for now it should be relatively quiet. We do see Juice in the top lane, but I don't know if he'll come here. As Poppy misses the R actually, but
yeah,
I say that and there's the
it's the Ornn trade powder. Scrapple is just gonna get behind the Poppy, not allow them to escape in any regard. And if you saw the amount of gold that Ornn got for that kill, 176. That's just the state of the game right now. Caution has tanked most of the deaths for SLOB at the moment, which means he won't be worth very much.
Yeah, I mean, this Poppy, despite the fact that Poppy is currently 0-4, when this game breaks open, Poppy does have a lot of uses, right?
Nice flash away from Verja, getting away from the bandage toss from Phantom. Really nice traps as well. Verja, I think, is playing a series-defining style right now, able to just flash away from those bandage tosses, get the snap traps down in time to make sure that Diego couldn't find any engage. Beautiful stuff from him.
Yeah, 100%. Verja is playing this game really good, and all the sort of, well, we didn't have any doubts about Verja last game, but we more so just felt bad for how little resources he was getting. Our doubts about that are being put to the test here, as Verja is now 4-0-1, worth 400 gold, sitting on a Noon Quiver and a pickaxe.
Yeah, this is such a massive lead for this bottom lane. As long as MKY doesn't give up that bot side shutdown to anyone who could really use it, as long as you're giving it to like the Poppy or the Amumu, you're feeling pretty okay. But just in general, just like playing around this Jinx, like we were talking about in draft, making sure that you're playing with your carries as the aggression is coming out the bottom side. They're looking for the hooks on to Verja. He's saving that cleanse for next.
Wow.
Shut down. The kill goes over to Bears, but Jesus Juice is going to find the kill in response. Flashes forward to pick up Diego for the double kill, but there's a trade on the top side as well. Jesus Juice does pop the layers for Spite. He's waiting for the burst onto Tambourine, but Maestro is here for the cleanup. Flashes and ignites forward. It is a triple kill for Jesus Juice, but the response from Maestro is, hey, you want some kills? I want some too. Hang on. He might get picked up. He's going to talk to the just to make sure that Barry Donut doesn't get the shutdown gold on him. Giving the kill over to support. What a nice guy.
Man, who cares if I give the kill to the support? I got the kill onto the support, and that is all that matters. As we see trading from bot and top coming from both teams. And you can see, look up in that top lane, the Kindred's mark has spawned, and you can see both junglers are posturing toward that top side. Vey is currently pushed in, so he can't help contest this mark. And you can see that Verja is also in that mid lane. So I think this mark is just going to go over to the Kindred. I'm wondering, how many marks does the Kindred currently have?
Yeah, we're going to have to keep track of that as the game goes on, because I think that is either mark number 2 or number 3. I haven't been able to keep as good of track as Banana Soul is looking for the mid lane again. A nice lantern from Pink Penguin is going to keep his AD carry safe. Again, Versha just hanging on to that cleanse for as long as possible. Didn't use it in that bot lane skirmish despite the amount of CC, as Barry Donut getting a lot of damage into this Varus. And it is important to mention, this is on hit Varus. This is not poke Varus, so this is not the lane domination style that you would normally expect, which I think is actually a positive for SLOV in this particular game, as Versa is finally going to use the cleanse, but it might be too little, too late. Meister is going to pick that one up with the disgusting amount of burst, as we got more burst coming in on the bottom side. Barry Donut looking for the long shot onto Tambourine. Hello. Galio says goodbye.
They heard us talking about how bloody the game was last game, and they said, you know what? We can do better. We can kill more people. We can pick more fights, as there's more fighting up in the top lane as Scrabble is in trouble.
Yeah, Vay Caution 2 levels down, still looking for the engage onto Scrabble. He does get the flash and the charge away, as Barry Donut is just getting his jungler as the escape with the heroic entrance from heroic entrance, more like heroic escape, as Barry Donut is just going to be able to fly out of there scot-free.
Brittany, I want to highlight just how fitting it is that this game is as bloody as it is when we're casting with 2 teams named OOGA BOOGA and Monkeys.
Yeah, I was thinking about mentioning that, just like the fact that we have Monkey and Ooga Ooga Booga, but like it just feels it feels scripted, and I don't want to reveal our script writers to the rest of the. Wait, is my mic still on? Sorry, I'm just gonna have to go for a second.
As well, Poppy says goodbye later, and we are probably going to see. I hate to say this because I know for a fact in 2 seconds it's not going to be true. The teams are sort of just relaxing here, but we do see some posturing here in the mid lane. We can see that Banana is looking for a pick here. He does have flash, and he could flash W. As nope, we're just going to see the lantern get Verja away. Now, it's important to notice Verja has died twice in a row now, so that lead onto the Jinx has subsided ever so slightly, but you also have to keep in mind, Juice is 5-1-5 on this Kindred. He has tier 2 boots, he has his mythic completed, and we're 13 minutes into the game. So you mentioned earlier that I'm a Kindred player, so I kind of know this. If I'm Kindred right now, I'm looking at their team comp and I'm saying, dinner. Because there is so much Kindred can do in this game. She can stop the Viego from killing someone with his XQR. She can stop Katarina from getting those resets on those kills. She can mitigate the amount of damage and the amount of influence that a Mumu has onto the carries. And the only real way for them to respond to this Kindred being so fed is with a Poppy arm, right? And that's the only thing, but you have to look, Vay's 0-5. Right, so that's the bit.
Find the hook on the Tambourine, but the Phantom is over the wall. A nice 3-man curse of the Sad Mummy, but it's just not enough CC to keep Verja down. He's going to be protecting his support for as long as possible. Gets a double kill for himself, and support will fall. Salute to Pink Penguin for absolutely keeping this Jinx as safe as possible. This is some stellar support play, as Scrapple is going to look for Vay Caution and Ice. That's way to deny the Call of the Forge God, but you are still a level down into this Ornn. He doesn't have that W to deny any of these dashes. He finally has it up to get that movement speed away from himself. As we got to play in the mid lane tandem, somehow get caught out. Jesus Juice picks that one. Was Vay Caution. Oh no! It was the top side. Picks the shutdown gold up for himself.
Oh man, Scrapple right now is probably going to the r/League of Legends subreddit saying, Riot Games, please nerf Poppy, as a very convincing solo kill comes out from him. And we do see Meister posturing around here, but he's not going to be able to do anything. Kindred gets yet another mark onto the enemy blue. This dragon spawns up in 230, but I honestly, dude, Monkeys are proving that they deserve to be at the top here. Last game, they had a lot of difficulty through SLOV's sheer will of team fighting and their ability to rotate really well. But Monkeys this game are just showing that they have the better mechanics. They can mechanically outplay you. They can make plays. They can make picks too. And they deserve to be at this top spot. And they deserve to be 3-0.
Yeah, it really did start from that level 1, just the information difference as we got a play on the bottom side. A nice cleanse from Verja, has the Lantern as well. Pink Penguin again, just MVP of this game, keeping Verja as safe as possible. The cleanse does get burned, but that's a cleanse for all of the resources that you just threw into that mid lane. That feels pretty okay if you're literal Monkeys, as Pink Penguin is going to find another hook onto Banana Soul. Just takes half of his HP thanks to that auto from Verja. They're going to pop the Herald in this middle lane, but it is the post 14 Herald, so it is just going to jump into the tower. I can't even tell if it charged or not. The 4 Rift Heralds just got nerfed into the ground.
Yeah, for sure. It did actually charge, but that isn't going to be a turret yet for SLOB. They're desperately trying to find a window back into this game. They're desperately trying to find a champion that can carry them over. Right now, the Katarina is the leading candidate. She has 3 kills and 2 deaths. She has the Dark Seal, she has the Sork Shoes, and she has that, I'm blanking. What is that item? The Gnasher's Tooth.
Yep.
And it's definitely going to be interesting to see if SLOB can find their way back into this game, because Monkeys, all accounts right now, are dominating, right? They have a turret, they have 2 dragons, they have 12 kills over SLOB in this game, despite the fact that this game has only been going on for 16 minutes. I can definitely see this game going very quickly.
Yeah, if Monkeys can continue to snowball this lead, because the gold lead hasn't just remained stagnant. It's been expanding thanks to all of the aggressive plays in the top side, in mid, in that bottom side, especially all of these resources given to Verja on this Jinx. And again, I just have to point out, as the support player, I got to give him props. Pain Penguin playing the thresh of his life, just being there every time with the all-important lantern to make sure that this immobile Jinx can stay safe. Now, as long as Verja has his finger on that cleanse button, it should be pretty simple team fight wins. But now with the cleanse down, there's the potential for Verja to be caught out on his lonesome. Banana Soul is looking for this lonesome mate to carry, but he is close to tower. They're going to opt to turn it on to Pain Penguin instead. But the heroic entrance is here for Galio. He looks for the Justice Punch. A lot of burst on the Evade Caution. He's down to a sliver of HP. The couple of Forge God is going to find 2 of them. Jesus Juice goes on a killing spree. Verja finds a couple kills in the sea, but it's a double kill for the Jinx. Meister gets over the wall. The Survey and Death Rocket is not there. The Zap tries to find him, but Meister might be able to walk out. It just depends on whether they're going to find it. The Dragon's gonna push him forward. They're just looking to shut down this Katarina as quickly as possible. Get those Dark Seal stacks off of her as Scrapple has found her. Gets the audition. Finds the last hit. That's an ace for Monkeys. Delayed ace, but an ace nevertheless.
Yup, almost a clean ace for Literal Monkeys here. 18 minutes into the game, they're completely running over SLOB as they take the bot turret and soon to be mid turret, and they're on Soul Point. And they've done all of this in 18 minutes, Brittany. All of this has been accomplished in under 20 minutes. Under 20 minutes game, as we see more fighting.
Something Phantom, maybe a little bit out of position. They're looking for any sort of desperation plays on to this Kindred, as they know where she's going to be with these marks, but she's just far enough ahead at this point and has the team support behind her. You can't pick this Kindred off.
Yeah, 100%. And you can look at Kindred's build right now as she is resetting. I am expecting to see a Blade of the Ruined King, I believe.
Yeah,
for that Kindred. That is definitely an interesting pickup, I think. I would usually say against a team with a lot of, I don't know, because you do have, okay, here's my thought process. You and Verja are currently the 2 most fed players on the team. You're the 2 carries, right? You're up against a Poppy, and you're up against a plated Steel Caps Viego, who has, I'm gonna be honest, kind of a questionable build. And you have that Radiant Virtue on that Amumu that gives him the tankiness. If I am juiced right now, I would honestly go for the Black Cleaver. I might be alone in that, but it feels like you have enough causality to build the Black Cleaver here for this, as we see some more engaging.
They're looking for burst on Scrapple, but they forget Ornn is the tank Deathfighter Knight Assassin Mage Assassin, so he's really difficult to pick out of position, as he does have the dash for himself, as Pain Penguin is looking for the flash forward, but he forgets that Katarina does have all that mobility, so they will be able to walk away from that one. But that is a lot of resources burned on this top side as this Baron has spawned. Jesus Juice on the wrong side of the map. For himself, so he'll be able to hop over the wall and call the Forge God. He's gonna find it out with the 2, and Viego is immediately deleted. Verja goes unstoppable, and now with no jungler, SLOB I think is forced to give away this Baron.
Yeah, excellently played over there by Juice, jumping over that Baron wall. That completely ruined them.
Phantom looked for his way in, tried to give vision to Tambourine with that WQ. We saw at Worlds, there's a lot of various arrow steals that happened over time, but it is not happening this time around. Jesus Juice finds the smite, and there's going to be the Baron secured for Literal Monkeys.
Yup, you can definitely tell that Juice is not Pioshik here. He lands his smites in spite of those Varus arrows, as Monkeys can probably just go mid here and run over the game. They can take an inhib by force if they want. They have those ultimates up. They have that Galley R. They have that Kindred R. They can do whatever they want. They're complete in control of this game.
Juice is going to find the last hit on that one. The wave is still alive barely. They do have this cannon creep just knocking on these inhibitor turrets door. They are going to be able to brute force down this inhibitor tower. They do still have 5 versus the 4 that SLOB have. Katarina is finally going to recall, but the inhibitor is going to be taken down. I just don't think there's a chance for SLOB to find a fight. It's 28-8 for kills. It is a 13,000 gold lead for Literal Monkeys.
Yep, and usually us as like casters, like we try to discuss like, okay, how can this team get back into this game? But there's a certain time and there's certain types of games where even we have to admit like, okay, like what exactly can SLOB do over here? They can try and wait out the Baron buff. They can try and stall out the waves. Maybe they can look to try and contest this this upcoming soul, but in no scenario can I see SLOB winning these fights anymore. Right? This Kindred is just too darn ahead as he's going into that wits end third item against their comp, and this is an almost 3 item Kindred at 22 minutes, whereas you know, Viego hasn't even finished his second one.
Oh, Tambourine is going to get picked up by the Zap. The hook is going to go wide. Oh my god, Death Rocket. He's going to pick up the Varus. Poppy's going to channel that ulti, pull Jesus Juice away from the fight, but it's just going to donate the kill over to Verja. It's a double for the Jinx. And I'll tell you what SLOB can do. They can think about their draft for game 3, as it looks like potentially Literal Monkeys might just be able to end the game here.
Yep, Literal Monkeys are posturing to just end it off. They have 2 picks onto the enemy team, 2 kills on, and they don't respawn for another 10 seconds, I believe, is on the Varus here, as they're looking to end. And I don't know, this was an incredibly clean game coming out from Literal Monkeys' goal.
Aaron still up for 30 more seconds. They are going to grab that first tower. The Call of Force God is going to look for it. A nice disengage away from the call from the sad mummy. Is only going to find the stun with 1, and Barry Donut is not even going to take a hint of damage. Virgo's going to go legendary. 12th and 2 on the Jinx as the second Nexus tower falls. And Literal Monkeys are just going to storm the base, look for some extra KDA in the Nexus fountain, as they are going to be able to pick up this game and take us to a 3-game series as soon as they want to kill the Nexus.
Yes, amazing game from Literal Monkeys. What a convincing win. They showed us why they deserve to be on the top. They showed us why they are 3-0. They showed us why they are considered to be the second best team in those power rankings for AGL. And they will take the second game.
Yeah, they're going to tie our series up 1-1. They felt that first loss, and they said, you know what? We're taking that one real personally. They had the information level 1. I have to assume that's like some sort of scrim information against the SLOB squad. Just the fact that like they like that bottom side invade when they have that particular style of composition. They played around really well, got Jinx all of those kills in the early game. And I think even if those kills had gone to like Galio or Kindred or maybe even Ornn, I don't think the like state of the game really changes all that much. Maybe it's a little bit easier for them to have some counterplay in the bottom side, but that's just so much gold to be giving over early. It makes the rest of the game feel insurmountable.
Yeah, 100%. And you can definitely tell that that did a lot of mental damage to SLOB as well. Like getting 4 of your members killed right out of the gate definitely does hurt the mental just a little bit. I can attest to this, being a solo queue player and also a former competitive player. Those level 1s can really mess you up, and it can definitely throw off the communication. So I'm not attributing that solely to the reason they lost, because I mean, Jinx got 4 kills. 3 kills, but so that'll probably do it. But you know, it definitely does have its effects.
Yeah, there is a lot that can be learned from that game for SLOB. Maybe clean up that level 1 a little bit, potentially look for different ways to get back into the game. But I think what every team is thinking about is this all-important Game 3 draft. As we are going to take a short break before we get into that draft. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Like a bomb squad. Bomb squad. You are the best at being the worst. You are the best at being the worst. With a little bit of love and a little more hate, it always hurts to say you are the best at being the worst. You seem so amazing. Flashing lights, always paraphrasing. It's do or die. It took time to see the birds of you. It took time to leave. It's hard apart when you're part of me. So I say, you are the best at being the worst. You are the best at being the worst. With a little bit of love and a little more hate, it always hurts to say you are the best at being the worst. Heartbeat throbbing when you hurt me. Retreat, retreat, run from the anomaly. Toxic intentions. Ooh, the reality. It took time to see the birds of you. It took time to leave. It's hard apart when you're part of me. So I say, you are the best at being the worst. You are the best at being the worst. With a little bit of love and a little more hate, it always hurts to say you are the best at being the worst. So I say, you are the best at being the worst. You are the best at being the worst. With a little bit of love and a little more hate, it always hurts to say you are the best.
Perfect. Welcome everybody back. We've got a very exciting game 3 for you. Welcome everybody who came over from Aegis stream number 1. We do have a pretty exciting series here of SLOB versus Literal Monkeys Gold. Just to catch you up on the past series, SLOB did take game 1 in a fairly convincing fashion in around 37 minutes, but Monkeys took that loss personally and came back to win game 2, and we are now tied up looking at match point.
Yup, and we can see similar bans from those last 2 games with the addition of the Kindred, trying to make sure that they don't get a repeat of last game. For those of you just joining us, Kindred last game was piloted by Juice, and he did an absolutely phenomenal job getting ahead with really good pathing, really good mechanics that just completely shut down their opponents. And the first pick, we do see the Caitlyn coming up. Now, with another response to that, Jinx and Thresh coming out, just a repeat of what they had last game. Again, the Jinx and Thresh did an amazing job getting ahead last game. They might not get 3 kills right off the bat, so maybe we'll see what happens when the game is more even in the bot lane. But yup, we can see both teams just darting through champ select here. We have the Lux and the Jarvan joining us right now.
Yeah, it is important to mention in their last game, the Jinx did end up going 3-0-1 at around, I think it was 2 minutes, a little bit less,
Yep.
thanks to a really good scouting on a level 1 invade, just making sure that SLOB got totally shut down. And Jinx sort of just ran away with the game after that, even after a couple of flubs and missteps, but she did end up winning the series, I think, with like 12-2-7 ending KDA. She was incredibly far ahead. As the rest of the draft comes through, like you said, Caitlyn Lux as the bottom lane combo for SLOB, and they're going to grab the Jarvan again for Banana Soul. This was something that was really successful in game 1. I wonder if he'll stick with the Glacial Augment coming into this next game, as we do have it into the Wukong this time for Monkeys.
Yeah, and Wukong is actually a really important game here. Monkeys have shown they're able to flex champions that most other teams just are simply not able to flex, right? So that Wukong could go top, it could go jungle, heck, it could even go mid. Donut has proven time and time again that he's able to play the most unorthodox champions in the mid lane. He's had things like the Graves in solo queue. He played the Viego in game 1. Even though they lost, it was still really good. He still did a really good job on it. So I'm actually really curious to see where this this Wukong goes, because it could go to 3 different positions.
Yeah, we are getting into the second phase of bans now. The Camille and the Gwen are going to be taken away by Monkeys, and the Ornn taken away by SLOB. They do not want to give that one over again. The Zac as well, just to pinch down on that jungle pool that little bit more, potentially even that mid lane pool, as it is one that Barry Donut has picked up before.
Yeah, 100%. And as we finish out the bans and we get these picks underway, we have to kind of ask ourselves, what exactly is going to be SLOB's response to last game, right? Because they got solo killed a lot that game. There was a lot of team play, but that game was really chalked up to just simple, mechanics diff, I would say, as we do see the Cassante coming up, eliminating the idea of a Wukong top lane. Still, that Wukong could go into the mid lane. Cassante is one of the most popular top laners, of course, right now, and I have no doubt that Vey is going to be able to pilot him really well, as we see a Fiora hover in response to that Cassante. Now, Fiora versus Cassante is definitely a really interesting skill matchup. It's usually Fiora favored just because she can parry so many of his abilities. She can parry just so many of those things, and even look at Monkey's draft. She can parry the Wukong knockup, Cassante's whole kit. She can parry the Thresh Q, the Thresh E, all of that.
Yeah, there's a lot for Fiora to play around. It is going to really be about the hands of this Fiora, making sure that they have the mechanical micro to make those plays. And we do have the Yone as the final lock-in for that mid lane, potentially moving into that Wukong. A melee matchup into someone who really likes playing melee matchups. So I'm not too surprised to see the Yone locked in. And it is just going to be the Galio for Monkeys again. They're playing another style of protect the Jinx composition. And I gotta say, as long as they're going to keep giving resources to Verja, I love this.
Yeah, 100%. Verja with resources has proven time and time again that he's able to pick up his team and carry it on the back. So that will be a Wukong jungle. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team goes. And it looks like after a short break, we will be getting into this game. So don't go anywhere just yet. And we'll see you guys on the other side.
us all in another life. We might be playing it safe, but not here with fear. Now we're playing with fate. Don't be fooled or mistaken by my angel face. I'm just a hothead looking for a reason to break. I'm the wizard of death. I'll come visit you next. Whisper my name on the next till your very last breath. I'm caught inside the fire again. I'm caught I'm the wizard of death. I'll come visit you next. Whisper my name on an X till your very last.
Time slows down when it can get no worse. I can feel it running out on me. I don't want these to be my last words. All forgotten, 'cause that's all they'll be. Now there's only one thing I can do. Fight until the end like I promised to. Wishing there was something left to lose. This could be the day I die for you. What do you see before it's over? Blinding flashes getting closer. Wish that I had something left to lose. This could be the day I die for you. This could be the day I die for you. This could be the day I die for you. This could be the day. Everything I know, everything I hold tight. When to let it go, when to make them all fight. When I'm in control, when I'm out of my mind. When I gotta live, when I gotta die, gotta die. Everything I know, everything I hold tight. When to let it go, when to make them all fight. When I'm in control, when I'm out of my mind. When I gotta live, when I gotta die. This could be the day I die for you. Feeling like there's nothing I can do. This could be the end, it's mine to choose. It's taken me my lifetime just to prove. This could be the day I die. Don't let it be the day. What do you see before it's over? Blinded flashes getting closer. Sacrificing every
Y'all sit back and watch me speak. About to take over your screen. Talking bulls in 93. Talking mom, I'm on TV. Y'all know all I do is me. All I do is me. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and all I know, my money green. About to snap and make a scene. My cup off and make this free. My cup off and make them scream. Go back off for TMZ. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and watch. Watch me. Watch me. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back. Money long, nothing on credit. I got style, don't catch no feelings. All this bread, ain't got no lettuce. I got style, don't catch no feelings. Watch me. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. Look. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. Look. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Watch me. Sit back. Sit back. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back.
Every time I touch Mac. Every time I touch Mac.
Explode the sunlight here, gentlemen. You explode the universe.
Every time I touch Mac. Every time I touch Mac.
Explode the sunlight here, gentlemen. You explode the universe.
kiss, sweet like poison. You know you make me reckless. I'll run, but you are friction. Your touch feels like heaven. You make me hate all my sins. You are my religion. My religion. I have a million reasons to leave you, but I have a billion reasons to keep you. I have a million reasons to leave you.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Apologies for the long delay. We do have an update. There was a internet issue with the SLOB 80 carry. They have not been able to reconnect to either Discord or League of Legends, which means that they have been essentially removed from this game. There has been an emergency substitution, and there were 2 bans taken away from SLOB, given that they have to take an emergency substitution midway through, or basically between the draft and the actual game starting up, which means that we have an entirely new draft that we're going to discuss here for a little bit before we get into this all-important Game 3.
Yeah, so as Brittany just said, we have a completely different draft here. However, there are a few similar picks. We do have the Thresh Jinx returning again, you know, for the 3rd time. Obviously, the 2nd time was canceled, but we do have that Jinx Thresh coming in from the side of Monkeys again. We do also have the Galio returning. We have the Ornn returning. We have a really new draft coming in from the side of SLOB. Actually, their draft is basically completely different. I believe they did pick the Yone on the last draft, but other than that, we have a Gragas, Sejuani, Lux, and a Sivir. So a very interesting comp. It's much more team fight oriented. So I think if this comp can unlock themselves early, if they can go in, if they can like kind of become like a giant meatball, if they can get like a death ball comp type thing going on, then they can definitely take this game.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things in this draft. I think the one thing that I would point out is SLOB, with only 1 ban on that first half because they need this emergency substitution, take away the Sylas, and then the jungle not getting picked up for MKY, which allowed for SLOB to take away the Kindred, which was a really big important piece of MKY's win in that game too. Just the amount of kills and marks that she was able to scrounge up over the course of that game, aside from Jinx having all of those early resources. So potentially with the different level 1 and now with a different jungler for MKY, maybe SLOB can start to get aggressive on this Jinx, shut her down early before she gets the chance to really scale up and play through her whole game plan.
Yeah, 100%. And I also do think it is worth noting that this is an Echo jungle, this game, right? Literal Monkeys elected to go Echo. And I think the Echo jungle has definitely fallen out of favor in the League of Legends scene as a whole, right? It used to be one thing where you would pick it in solo queue and people would expect it, right? Echo doesn't go mid lane anymore. Echo doesn't go top lane anymore. These are all things of the past. We're in the new age now, right? And Echo jungle is one of the picks that is a little bit hard to predict, but I definitely do think or I am at least very interested to see how they play around this Echo, because he is definitely a carry jungler, and they do have very weak side mid and top laners.
Yeah, this is another Monkeys draft that I think is really similar to Game 2, where they have their scaling bot lane carry, where they have this Jinx that they have a lot of good meatballs that can protect it, and now they have this carry jungler as well. But without it being the Kindred, without that safety of the ranged jungler, obviously, you probably wouldn't want to pick it into the comp that SLOB have for themselves anyway. I think into Sivir, into Sejuani, into Gragas, Kindred can be really difficult to play. But I do like that they picked up the Echo for themselves. It's a carry jungler with a lot of safety, with that ultimate, with all of the movement speed that his passive provides. And again, the beefy meatballs in the front line, the Galio and the Ornn and the Thresh, especially providing so much peel for this Jinx. I think it's going to be difficult for SLOB to access this backline as well as deal with this Echo at the same time.
Yep, 100%. And as we hop into the third and final game, hopefully for real this time, we're going to see if SLOB can finally pull off that upset over Monkeys and give them their first actual series loss. And we're going to see if Monkeys can continue their streak with a new and more interesting draft. So yeah, we'll catch you guys after this short little break.
We are back for this match decider in game 3 of SLOB versus MKY. Excited to see how these teams can shape up after a pretty long delay. We'll have to see if the players' mentals can stick together. You will notice SLOB's players have shifted around a little bit. Banana Soul has stepped into AD carry in light of the emergency substitution that they had to take. And XL Macro, the normal top laner, has stepped into the jungle.
Yeah, 100%. So I am actually kind of curious to see how this roster shuffle is going to go around. But I feel like it is relatively the same concept here. Vey on the Gragas and Scrapple on the Ornn. You would expect this lane to be incredibly, weak-sided. Maybe they hit each other a couple of times. Maybe Ornn breathes some fire. Maybe Gragas gets a little too drunk. But if this series has been any indication, that is probably not going to be the case. Both of these teams, and specifically the top laners, regardless of their comps, have been ridiculously bloody at each other's throats all game. And so I am definitely expecting, even though they have a different roster, I'm expecting both of these teams to play the same, to perform the same, and for the game to be bloody as ever.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if we got any less action, though we don't see an invade this time around. I want to point out, just as we're looking over everybody's rune selection, summoner spell choices, etc., we do have Ghost for Verja on this Jinx this time, as opposed to the usual defensive summoner spell of something like a heal or like an exhaust or even like a barrier. And Pink Penguin is opting for the exhaust, so there's no heal or ignite for this bottom lane if they end up taking some aggressive 2v2s.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell that they are putting more emphasis on trying to get Verja ahead. They realized that Verja ahead was probably the way to go. He did an amazing job last game, even with the 3 kills early on. He still heavily outclassed Banana Soul, I mean not Banana Soul, but the enemy bot lane, and it was a really good bot game from the side of Verja and the side of Penguin. So I'm hoping that with, you can see Juice pathing bot here, they're probably looking to put some emphasis on that bot lane like they did last game.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we do have Macro opting towards the top side as Pink Penguin is looking for a hook, but gets flashed away by Banana Soul. Good respect to just making sure that he doesn't give up anything early in this bottom lane, because that really is the big deal. In a Jinx lane, you want to just play safe, not give them anything. A nice bind from Phantom. They're going to get a lot of damage in on the Verja. He doesn't have those defensive summoning spells we talked about. Banana Soul doesn't have the flash to continue on, but the ignite is taking away. Won't by the kill of Phantom. Well, with the Lucid Singularity, picks up first blood and forces the flash out of Pink Penguin as well. Huge play from the 2v2 bottom side of SLOB.
Absolutely masterclass on mechanics. As again, the fighting doesn't stop there. We got more fighting up in the mid lane and the top lane. The camera's going all over the place.
To flash away, Barry Donut is going to get his flash over the wall. Macro does not have his flash to follow up. Used it to get that initial engage. So Barry Donut will escape with a flash. Lots of flashes being burned across the map. I think there's only three left on the map as Jesus Juice is down here on the bottom side. Pink Penguin is going to find the hook onto Phantom. They will have the burst to come through. Jesus Juice picking up his first kill of the game.
We didn't mention it last game, but Penguin was unironically the main savior of Monkey's last game. Every single hook landed. He had perfect flays. He had perfect, disengages. He got the backline and the carries. SLOB completely off of Verja the whole game. He was unironically the reason they won that game, and no one, we did not talk about it. Pink Penguin on this stretch, his Qs aren't, they usually haven't been missing in this series. He's been doing an excellent job at landing these priority targets with his Qs and, getting off the carries of SLOB with his plays.
Ooh, Verja's gonna lose half his health thanks to that that light binding from Phantom. Props to the SLOB squad already coming out and fighting hard, trading 1-for-1 in that bottom side and getting that early 2v2, especially with the duo that you are unfamiliar with, can be really difficult. So it's good to see that they're still playing with the confidence that we saw in games 1 and 2, and they're still playing aggressively as we would hope that they would.
Yup, and we can see a little bit of mid-action here as they're trying to get some damage on to Donut, but Donut is, Galio, he doesn't take a lot of damage. He has that aftershock, which just prevents him from taking a ton of chunky damage from SLOB, and we also see some bot lane. You can see Juice is hovering in that bush, trying to see if he can get anything done, but I don't know. The wave is in a weird spot. He can't move up to that other bush as, we might get something here.
Yep, he's gonna get the hook. Does go a little bit wide. Banana Soul, nice spacing, but Jesus Juice still looking for the aggression onto Phantom here. Just a lot of auto attacks coming through and plenty of damage being traded. I do like that Jesus Juice is playing down towards his bottom side. We were mentioning in the previous games that they were taking a lot of resources away from Verja, but in game 2, they gave him what he needed, and he was able to snowball the game away with it. So now they're looking to do the same thing in this game 3, give this Jinx as comfortable of a laning phase as possible.
Yeah. And we can also see, I definitely think we have to think about the late game, because although these games have been bloody, this is nothing compared to what we would get if this game goes to late. We have the ornaments, and Kraken Slayer ornament is one of the best ornament upgrades in the entire game, along with like the Leandries, and it basically puts it every 2 auto attacks you get the proc from that Kraken Slayer. And you get a ton of AD. So if Verja can get ahead, if Ornn can get to that level 13, give her that ornament, this game is going to be incredibly difficult for SLOB, because monkeys have the advantage of scaling this game, I would say.
Yeah, they have drafted themselves a really nice scaling composition, the same as they did in game 1, as Scrapple is going to find the Call of the Forge God, forced to flash out of Vay Caution. He doesn't have the body slam just yet, finally gets the cooldown up. Jesus Juice is going to miss the Q, just a little bit of extra damage in on to Vay Caution. Gets that Dark Harvest proc, but that's really it out of that gank, and that was a lot of time spent for just a single Dark Harvest proc.
I found it really funny that the back of the retreat of the Echo Q hit him. It was just like it was a little prize. It was like, you know, you pulled it off pretty good.
In the middle lane, gonna force out the Fate Steal. The exhaust, he's burned just to keep him slowed down for the hook. But I don't think they have the damage. Pink Penguin might have stepped up a little bit too far. Takes a couple of tower shots. Jesus Juice is here though, looking for the support. Gets the nice 2-man stun, but Meister gets down under the tower. Jesus Juice getting a little low. The hero entrance is forced away just to make sure that Jesus Juice survives. Meister has that lethal tempo stack, really looking to get aggressive. Phantom has roamed up as well. Nice flash force. They're going to get aggressive onto the Gallia. Berry Donut, I assume the kill will be gifted right over to Meister. Beautifully done. But Berry Donut actually on the back of that found the kill in the macro.
Yeah, amazing job from the side of SLOB. You can definitely tell that Meister is really comfortable and really familiar on a champ like Yone. He's going for fights and extending trades that you usually wouldn't see on someone who was more or less familiar with the pick on the Yone. So you can definitely tell that he is in his comfort zone when going into this matchup. You can see he's over 10 CS above Donut already, and we're only 7 minutes in. He has 61 CS at 7.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's farming really well, feeling very comfortable on this Yone matchup, which I think is exactly what SLOB needs right now. They need someone to be that carrying force. Yeah, you have Banana Soul on this Sivir, who's going to be, as long as they can play the team fights, pretty good late game insurance. Sivir is one of these champions that team fight coordination for them is not the most difficult. You press R, you get your team forward, you auto attack the frontline targets, get the ricochets off, do your job. But a champion like Yone is going to require a lot more mechanical execution the closer you are to like item and gold parity with your opponent. But the farther ahead you are, the more mistakes you're allowed to make and the more kind of like flubs you're allowed to make. You're allowed to just say like, hey, I'm like a 3-item Yone, you're an item and a half, I've got my shield though, I'm super safe.
Yeah, 100%. And something that you have to keep in mind with Gragas is that
Lands beautifully found. They're going to donate that kill over to Verja, but now Macro is here, has that Glacial Prism, looks to the flash forward into Verja, will finally land the Glacial Prism. Meister is going to pick up the last of that one, goes on a killing spree, and now Pink Penguin left by the wayside, donated over to Banana Soul, as the rest of the fight is going to be trying to extend it. Meister is going to look for his way in. Jesus Juice gets that Chrono Break for himself, but Meister goes on a rampage, gets that Triumph proc, finally gets shut down by Jesus Juice. But Macro and Banana Soul are still here, auto attacking away. Macro's going to pick that one up, and it's a bloody fight in the bottom side. But in the end, it's a win for SLOB.
What a humongous fight on the side of SLOB. They played that really, really well. Excellent execution of ultimates and excellent execution of those rotations onto that tiny little alcove. I definitely think that Monkeys could have played that better. Pink Penguin was caught out a lot. I feel like that is something that he has been doing a lot in this series. Oftentimes, Pink Penguin seems to be the one that gets picked a lot as he is looking for those picks, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and I definitely think that that adds a bit of an X factor on the side of Monkeys. They can definitely get ahead if Penguin gets a pick onto a priority target like he has been doing in this series, and we did see that be one of the main reasons they won. But we see a mid fight here,
Nice Justice Punch denial from Meister, getting beautiful positioning. They're going to donate the kill over to the Yone. Again, 5-1 now on this pick. All of these bot lane rotations does mean that Verja and Pink Penguin will get the extra plate, but they are still actually down in CS, about 10 below this Sivir, which for all of the action that's been happening in this bot lane is not what you would hope the situation would end up in.
Yeah, and that's really big on the side of SLOB because Sivir is one of those champions that doesn't need a ton of resources to operate at the level that you want her to, right? She's not something like the Zeri, something like the Draven, something, an ADC that needs a ton of resources. Sivir is definitely more on the chill side of ADCs. Her main goal is to scale up and farm and use that ultimate when they want to engage. And so I can definitely commend Phantom here for using those roams to try and get Meister ahead because this 5-1 Yone is definitely going to spell doom for Monkeys if they can't shut it down soon.
Yeah, Yone is one of these champions that's really, really difficult to peel. He has so much access to the back line with the soul separation, with the fate sealed. It's a lot of extra dashes and movement speeds and a lot of time that Yone can spend on the back line without really being in too much trouble. Scrapple's going to pop the call to the fourth, going to get knocked into May. Caution is going to be forced to flash away. The explosive cask, did pop Jesus Juice back and force him a little bit farther away, which does mean he will be safe as Barry Dona is going to force Mike to take some turret shots as the torch beautifully queued up, but they will still find the kill on him. Jesus Juice now the 1 versus 2 still has access to the Chrono Break. He's going to get CC. Shut down. Macro picks up a double kill.
What a beautiful string of CC coming from the side of SLOB, their top and jungle, doing an absolute excellent job of making sure Echo can't Chrono Break out of that. He says, you made a mistake, you can't rewind. It is not rewind time for you.
Yeah, and that's a really big deal because they did pick up the early Herald with all the pressure that's been happening in this top side, and that Herald gets popped, which is going to give this Gragas and the Sejuani, importantly, a lot more gold as we see Verja just take a bit of a nuke under his own tower, even through the Thresh Shield. That's about 75 to 80% of his HP just from long-range poke.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know if I agree with XL Macro's decision to put the Herald down in that, up in that top side. While giving it to the Gragas does provide a lot of frontline potential and like a lot of frontline assurance for your backline, for the Yone, for all of that, I would have probably put it mid lane, even if you can't get the pick. I don't think with about 3 minutes when you placed it remaining, you aren't really locked into placing that Herald top, so I probably would have waited to see if I could place it mid at any point.
Yeah, really accelerating this Yone is the game plan that we were thinking they were looking for. As Mike Stirrer is going to be in a bit of trouble here. Going to get the Fate Seal down onto Jesus. Juice getting plenty of damage, avoiding the stun as well. Beautifully. Pink Penguin flashes forward, but doesn't find the hook. The exhaust is down. But Mike Stirrer is in a 3 versus 1. The shutdown finally comes over to Pink Penguin. Macro is here just to watch his mid laner die. He's going to look for a re-engage though. Trying to get onto Jesus. Juice forces the flash out of him. Pink Penguin, they're looking for any sort of damage, but all the members of Literal Monkeys are going to be able to walk away with their health bars intact.
Okay, I know he died in that fight, but huge props to Meister. He played that fight about as good as he could have with what he was given, right? He did a really good job on avoiding all of their CC. He had a really good fate seal. He had a great ease.
Doesn't find the knockup, but does get the brittle proc, so he did find the slow. Scrapple just waiting on the charge, gets the slow from the Q, but doesn't have the damage to pick up Vaykosh, and it's so close, but he's just toying with him, using that Gragas passive to heal up again, just saying, haha, you can't kill me. Doing a little Fortnite dance. The Super Mega Death Rocket will not find its mark either. Verja not be able to pick up the kill on that one.
Yeah, very close Super Mega Death Rocket. Even though the camera didn't pan over the minimap, you could definitely tell that was a close one. We can see some action here in the bot lane. This dragon will be spawning soon, so I wonder how both teams are going to respond. So the top laners just got their Unleashed teleports unlocked, and they both have it up, so I can definitely see them both looking for something. Oh, a kill.
Pink Penguin. In the meantime, we got to fight on the top side. A nice taunt from Barry Donut. He does have the flash. He doesn't have the heroic entrance just yet, but I don't think Meister wants to take that fight when he knows that the enemy jungler is also going to be nearby. And in the meantime, SLOB is just going to force down this bottom lane tower. It is post 14 minutes, so no plates, but that is first tower going to the Sivir lane.
Yeah, and this is really big for SLOB too, because now they have permission to go for the Drake, right? They probably wouldn't be able to do this if Donut had the ultimate, but he doesn't have that grand entrance. So SLOB are just continuing to catapult that lead ahead with really good rotation from their team.
Yeah, SLOB playing the macro game really, really nicely here, despite circumstances making it really difficult for them. They're playing it really well, and I think this is incredible showing for SLOB, even just mentally, like going through all of that pause time, taking all of this time away. We're gonna have to put that on pause. Meister wants to get aggressive, but does have Yone pull back, so he's gonna be totally safe.
Yup, so we can just see that SLOB kind of testing the waters a bit, seeing how much they can let on without getting punished, as we do see some trading in the top lane.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any lethals, as it is the Abyssal Mask first item on the Ornn. He's going to have a lot of healing and a lot of magic resist, and Gragas is, you know, Gragas, so he is going to be a lot of healing and a lot of tankiness, but Scrapple is getting some hefty trades back with the Grass Procs and with the over.
Wow.
Shut down and deleted. Meister finds the last hit. Phantom tried to get the final spark down there, but it just wasn't in time with all the rest of the CC. But now MKY looking for the turnaround. They're looking to pick up Jesus Juice. Jesus Juice is going to pick up Meister. But he will be able to grab that kill. Jesus Juice now looking for more. Looking to get on top of Banana Soul. Gets the stun down. Gets plenty of damage. Dark Heart's Proc comes through. The exhaust comes through. Pink Pokemon maybe a little bit out of position now. He flipped back. Flash forward from Banana Soul. The hook is blocked by the minions. Just barely there for Banana Soul. The Lantern is going to keep the mid laner alive. Barry Donut managing to stay alive just barely. And again, all the members of MKY, aside from Verja, sadly walking away with their lives. They did pick up the kill on Meister, however.
This is such a crap game to be Verja, right? They have so much access to the backline, right? They can one-shot you with the Lux Laser, the 6-kill Yone can kill you. If anything from the Sejuani lands onto you, you're basically dead. Verja is just not able to play this game. Their main carry, their main source of damage this game is not able to be that main carry and that main source of damage. He's just unable to play the game.
Yeah, I wonder, going back to like at the start of this game where we pointed out that Verja took Ghost instead of something like a Cleanse or like a heal, I wonder if this is a bit of a problem for him, because looking at Lux and Sejuani and even like Gragas to a certain extent, Cleanse is not bad into any of these characters and really would be helpful in keeping this Jinx alive, but with just the Ghost as your defensive summoner spell, it's really easy to get caught by a stray Lux binding if you're a little greedy with your flash, or to get caught by a Sejuani ulti out of fog if you're not paying attention and ready for it. And not having that Cleanse means this Jinx is so vulnerable and is a really easy target for SLOB to bully.
Yeah, and we definitely have to highlight XL Macro this game. This guy came in as a sub for this team and is actually doing super well. 9 out of 12 KP for the jungler. Most on his team. He's doing an amazing job with these rotations. He's doing an amazing job highlighting the Sejuani, making sure that the side of MKY can't get onto the backline, as we see a little bit of fighting in the bot lane here.
Not gonna take a little bit of damage, but it is still Galio, despite the AP items in his inventory. It still is. Aftershock Galio, so pretty hard to kill. His fake caution is just gonna body boop into the minions for a little bit there. We're just seeing the same traits happen topside. We see the phase rush get proc, we see the charge come in. Vacaution is just running circles around Scrapple until he gets that call to Forge God. They both get low and they both walk away, but we are seeing now SLOB playing a little bit more aggressive towards the top side, as Phantom's going to look for some burst on a Pink Penguin, but the hook is it through Glacial Augment. They don't have the damage to finish off this Thresh. Verja's going to find their second kill of the game, finally start to unlock this Jinx, as Meister wants to shut down this play, immediately picks up Pink Penguin, but Verja is still free firing if they want to continue the fight. And Fake Caution again, the top side, it's just going to be cue the Betty Hill theme, just like running around each other as Macro. Now looking to get a small to Scrapple, but the heroic entrance is here for Galio. Going to find the 2-man knockup. There's the call to Force God as well. The Radiant Virtue doing a lot of work for Fake Caution and for Macro, getting the heals up for them. Scrapple's getting super low. The Scorch is not going to find the last hit. Thank you, Abyssal Mask, for keeping him alive. Now Jesus Juice looking for the 2-man stun, finds it. The shutdown goes down onto Macro. They're finding their way back in. It's 2 shutdowns.
Oh no!
Suddenly, Monkey doesn't look that far behind, despite the 5,500 gold deficit.
Monkey finds really good picks onto the side of SLOB, as we do get a teleport. Wow, that almost didn't work out. He killed it 1 second sooner.
It's another teleport from Barry Donut as well. They're really looking to get aggressive.
And here,
a nice light binding is going to deny Scrapple any sort of engage attempt. They don't have the call to the Forge God. They don't have any flashes. That felt like some very aggressive teleports for not very much, but they are setting up for this Cloud Dragon. They want to deny this soul point away from SLOB. Pink Penguin is going to Hex Flash over the wall, has the lantern. They won't find the hook though, thanks to that Cloud Soul movement speed. the Cloud Rift, providing enough momentum to keep Phantom out of trouble as the Dragon is started up now. 7,000. Phantom getting some poke into the pit. 4,000, 3,000. Meister is in. They're looking for the burst, but no, Jesus Juice is going to find it and get the smite away as Veridona is going to survive with a sliver of HP as a walk away from the play.
That's really big for the side of Monkeys. They deny SLOB the soul, which is a really big thing here. This is Cloud Soul.
Oh, Jesus Juice. Ooh, nice lantern from Ping Pong Win is going to keep him safe. But despite taking the actual Cloud Dragon, it is going to give away the rest of their bottom side jungle to SLOB to take away all these resources and give them a bunch of gold. But that denial of the Cloud Soul is really the important thing here.
Yeah, and SLOB, Cloud Soul is really good for their comp, right? You have the Sivir ultimate and mix that with the Cloud Soul, mix that with the movement speed, and you're just asking for a team that's going to be going as fast as like Ferraris and they're going to be going completely in, right? You can see SLOB's comp is all about that dive, all about that engage, as we have a little bit of poking coming from both teams.
First comes through. Ping Pong Win is pretty tanky on this thresh, though the glacial element comes down, pops the box as well just to play defensively. Verja has the Ghost on. They're looking to get aggressive. The Super Mega Death Rocket does not find any of its intended targets, and it needs the tower defense, but that was a lot of cooldowns burnt for Literal Monkeys just to make sure that this inner tower doesn't fall.
Yeah, and you can definitely see 5 and 2 on this Echo. Echo is definitely going to be but here's the thing, Echo doesn't have a ton of access into the backline of SLOB here, right? He has to get through a Gragas. He has to get through a Sejuani, and I mean, most people know this, but Gragas' E, his little belly bump, basically cancels most dashes in the game. Most dashes cannot override it, and that includes things like the Echo's first dash. Obviously, the Blink can go through it, but like things like the Galio E, things like the first half of the Echo E, things like the Ornn E, they cannot go through this Fat Man's belly bump. And it's going to be incredibly difficult, despite Echo's scoreline, to try and be able to get onto this backline of SLOB, trying to kill this Sivir, trying to kill this Yone, who honestly has problems of its own, given that he has Shield Bow.
Yeah, he is on that Shield Bow now, so he does have that near 50% crit chance. He'll be approaching that second item. He does have the components for something as SLOB are going to start this Baron at 22 minutes. We don't have full information. Veridona is going to finally spot it out. It's down to 5k. Jesus Juice is nowhere nearby though.
Yeah, Jesus, big call.
We don't know. They're going to be able to, they're going to peel off of the Baron. They didn't know that Jesus Juice wasn't close enough to come for a steal. They're just going to peel away from it. And that's a really nice bluff from Literal Monkeys, but they honestly got very lucky with that.
Yeah, if SLOB chose to continue the Baron there, maybe Macro was feeling a bit spicy. You know, he wanted that 50-50. Hang on.
Forge God, they're looking to get on the Vay caution, but a nice flash away from it, and the cask is going to separate all of Literal Monkeys. The re-engage is going to come through. Vay caution is so tanky on this Gragas. Scrapple is trying to get into this front line, but there's just not enough damage coming through. Jinx is not online just yet with only this Kraken Slayer, and SLOB a great disengage just to make sure that they survive. Its health bar's burned, its summoners lost, but there's no kills given over to Monkeys.
Yeah, that's actually a really big showing from SLOB. It shows us that Monkeys can't burst them down, right? The two players on the top side of SLOB here are just simply too tanky for the Jinx and for the Echo to deal with. They have not enough damage, right? Echo obviously can't burst down these champions, and Verja doesn't have that armor pen yet where he can potentially go in on them. And what really stinks about this game is that none of these people can build Black Cleaver, right? You don't have access to that team-wide armor penetration that would be honestly so useful for both teams in these games, right?
Yeah, I do also want to point out that Verja is opting for what I would call like an older style of Jinx build, where he is going to go for the Runaan's Hurricane second item. Very often we've been seeing items like Infinity Edge, like Lord Dominic's Regard as that second item pretty much for the past couple patches now. But just with the amount of low economy that Verja's been playing off of, he's forced to play for this item with a little bit easier of a build path. It will provide a lot of value once he gets that third item, Infinity Edge, in inventory. But until then, it's going to be a lot weaker from the Jinx, which means that they're going to be struggling to have that consistent damage in team fights. It really is going to be all on Jesus Juice, making the burst happen on these backline targets.
Yeah, it's really hard for Verja to get unlocked in this game. If he can't find enough gold to get that Infinity Edge as the second item in this case, it is really it's really bad for Literal Monkeys. Going Runaan's here is basically Verja's version of saying, look, I don't have enough gold to continue some of the more expensive items that would allow me to one-shot and be the ADC of everyone's nightmare, so I kind of have to settle for this. And it's really, really bad for Monkeys because they need someone to be able to burst down this front line because they can't really get into the back line here. They have to go through the front line. They can't go around them.
Yeah, without LDR, without IE, it's going to be really difficult for that burst to come through. We're seeing trades come into the top side. Both of these top laners do have teleport as this fourth dragon has spawned. Another cloud dragon, SLOB wanting to get to that soul.
Backing away.
He's trying to get to that denial. Mikester is on the back line. Pink Penguin might have been caught out and deleted. The box comes through, but I don't think Penguin will survive. Maybe has enough to live through it. The belly bomb come through from Bay Caution, but now Monkeys has been split up. Virgil left all on his lonesome just with Scrapple to try and defend him. They will get picked up, but Jesus Juice does pick up Mikester on the other side of the fight, but now the rest of SLOB is going to come through. There's still Jesus Juice looks for the burst on the banana, finds it, but he dies in the trade, takes up a double kill for himself, and now it's just a Berry Donut trying to escape from the rest of SLOB, but they get the ace, gets picked up, and that's going to be the dragon for SLOB as long as they can rotate over to it.
Soul point here for SLOB, the Cloud Soul, probably one of the best traits you could have on this comp. They have a very heavy emphasis on movement speed with that Sivir R, and it's only going to be amplified with this Soul. And now they have a complete threat over this game. In games like this, you know, when you have the Cloud Soul threatened, or any Soul threatened for that matter, there is always this looming Cloud as the reciprocating team who doesn't have that, to be like, okay, we have to contest this trait. A lot of people consider Soul to be a really useless Soul. Most people would tell you it's the worst Soul in the game. In this case, I would argue that it is actually the best Soul here for SLOB, other than maybe the Mountain Soul, but, you know, we've seen the Mountain Soul in the game already. We need some variety in these games, you know?
Yeah. I do think the Cloud Soul is really good when you pop that Sivir ulti and you have that Cloud Soul active. Sivir is going to be moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Yone, once he pops that ulti, will be able to reposition himself super easily, stay on top of Verja, keep away from Jesus Juice, and make sure that this Jinx is not allowed to play the game. And conversely, if Monkeys are forced to give up this Cloud Soul, how is Verja going to be able to survive in these team fights? Like, Pink Penguin has been playing a great Thresh recently. Obviously, this game, the performance has slumped a little bit, but it's still a really good performance series-wide. As we see, Scrapple is getting engaged on a nice unstoppable to get away from the stun, but now the Fate Seal is here alongside that Glacial Prison. Scrapple getting bursted down, but it's going to get saved by Pink Penguin. There's the two-man solo.
Oh my god!
This might be the turn that the Monkeys were looking for, as the Chrono Break is going to be forced out of Jesus Juice. Vega's Caution's on the backline, trying to get damage on the Verja as much as possible. Jesus Juice finally gets picked up, trying to dive on this backline. Scrapple looking for any sort of re-engage. Macro is just keeping Verja out of this fight. His Banana Soul is going to pick up Berry Donut, and it was looking like a potential turnaround for Monkeys. Immediately gets shoved in their face, and its kills picked up for SLOB.
What started out as a great wombo combo from the side of Monkeys turned out to be an SLOB slaughter. We have a 3 for nothing on the side of SLOB as they will transition this into a Baron. There is a possible chance that nope, there is actually nothing. Verja doesn't have that ult up. This will be a free Baron for the side of SLOB. A masterclass in how to play that fight. They did an amazing job. Juice tried so hard to get onto that backline, but unfortunately, SLOB just have too much peel with this Sejuani in there, and with this Gragas distracting all of them. He's just too damn tanky.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to mention, while we have a little bit of room to breathe and some time to kill, this Lux is not any sort of support like Mikhail's plus Shirelia's that we have seen very often in the professional plays. This is the solo queue full AP Lux of your nightmares. This is the kind of Lux that's going to one-shot any sort of squishy AD carry or jungler who steps too far out of position, which means that while it would have been laggy, there's the burst, nice, shielded, but oh my god, Verja's just dead!
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because we get to see full AP Lux in action right then and there. A beautiful pick from the side of SLOB and Phantom as Verja just goes down. Verja just hasn't been able to play the game. He has that ornament upgraded, but he's just not ahead enough to be able to make use of it yet.
Yeah, that was through Locket and through Lantern Shield. That was a lot. That was a pretty big health bar for a Jinx of all characters, and still, Phantom finding the burst through it. Like we were saying, this is the quote-unquote support Lux of your nightmares. This is the one that's one-shotting your AD carries, one-shotting your squishy junglers, and that was just an exact, like, showcase of what exactly this champion can do as the burst is going to come through again. Berry Donut finds the Lantern, but then for Banana Soul. He's going to find his way out. The Call of the Forge God playing at max range. Knocks out Vay's caution, but he does manage to find his way out. Jungle
Oh my
Juice
god.
and then pick up a shutdown. Importantly, goes over to Verja, but it gets immediately returned as Jungle Juice, as Jesus Juice, not Jungle Juice. Sorry, that's a totally different thing. As Jesus Juice does get picked up, and in response. And it is a 2-for-1, but that one being an important shutdown kill going over to Verja. If there's any sort of hope for Monkeys to come back in this situation, it has to be on this Jinx getting resources.
Yeah, and it's really important to know, Monkeys don't have the greatest wave clear without this Jinx. So if they can pick off this Jinx like they've been doing, they can just walk into the base. Or they can't really walk up without getting picked by this Lux or by the Sejuani, and they don't have any other wave clear afterward. The Galio Q doesn't do enough damage to clear off the backlines, especially with this Baron buff hitting it. And overall, SLOB just have a beautiful push and siege power coming from these picks. That Sivir really showing what it can do when it has the ability to siege correctly and when it has those tanks backing it up.
Yeah, and we keep harping on it, but we have to keep saying it. Despite technical issues, despite emergency substitutions, despite everything looking not in favor of SLOB, even at the start of this series, we were saying, oh, Monkeys are like undefeated on this season. They've lost like 1 game total. This is looking like a disaster for SLOB. The engage, Vay calls him with a beautiful Gragas cast. Jesus Juice will find his way out, has to put it right back. Endo hitting from Phantom, finds him on the rebound, picks him, and Meister is going to get the Fate sealed in. It won't find the kill, but it will find the CC necessary for SMOB to start pushing into this fight. Banana Soul doesn't have the ulti just yet, but is using the heal for the extra bit of movement speed. Vay caution jumps in front of the bullet for Banana Soul just to make sure he keeps auto-attacking. Vay caution is going to get the belly bop forward. It's just Scrapple now against the world, and I think SLOB are going to complete the upset and finish this series.
They did it! They did it against all odds, against the bans, against the redrafts, against the fact that they had to use a sub in this last game. SLOB take such a convincing win, showing that they deserve to be one of the top teams along with Literal Monkeys. They played their hearts out. They played their best game, but they cannot finish this one out. SLOB take the series.
Wow, what an incredible showing. Honestly, from both teams, this is what the top of the AGL looks like. Literal Monkeys coming into today 3-0. They were feeling confident on top of their game. Game 2 looked incredibly dominant. Game 1, though, shining light, OOGA, BOOGA, coming out strong and showing them exactly why they are a top contender. And again, we're harping on it. But despite technical issues, despite substitutions, despite everything against SLOB, they come out on top of the series and make it impressive.
An incredibly impressive series from SLOB. An really good showing, especially, I'm going to highlight this player for the game. Meister did an absolutely amazing job in all 3 games, showing that he has amazing mechanics, amazing, ability to outplay, and I definitely think his mechanics are what won them game 3, and along with the great roaming with Phantom, I think that combo is just completely lethal. I think we should definitely be looking at these players more, and I definitely think they deserve the praise that they're getting.
Yeah, incredible shout outs to everybody who, not only like the players themselves who made it through this game mentally, just like the delay trying to keep yourself in this game and in this series, but also like the substitutions that came through, all of you who stayed to watch this series despite all the delays. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Class, for joining me on the broadcast this week. It's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you, Zach, for sticking with us, the production man behind the scenes, making sure everything can come through together. Thank you all so much for joining us. This is going to be the end of AGL Week 4. We appreciate you all being here. We'll see you next week. Don't go anywhere.